to be a step up from them, because yeah, the last time out it was a close affair, different personnel on the server now, but also different form. Gen.G have looked truly unstoppable no matter who they seem to come up against, and on the other side of things, Heretics have faltered a little bit. They've slipped from that sort of dominant force that they were within the stage 2 of EMEA. Either way, fully expecting an exciting series. But I think the first 2 matches we've seen from these teams are fairly telling at where they are right now.
Setting expectations for Gen.G. Lotus, they absolutely dominated Heretics there in the grand final with Shanghai. Somewhere that they're going to feel comfortable going to. And as Sideshow said, this is just a breeze comp brought through, so although it's a different map, comfort level on that comp should be the same. Karen sitting around mid, very late in the game. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Texture to at least drop his one. Spams are good, and Heretics find the kill. Now that laneway, all that stands between the defuse and the round victory. Munchkin, though, manages to drop Woot, and they've already destroyed the wingman.
Yeah, post-plant lineups already coming in, making it incredibly difficult for anybody to get near that spike. We see Heretics do this exact same sort of post, just sitting back, holding, sending utility on towards that spike, and then just pre-firing this angle. Even still, though, they have managed to get it to half, but they need a little bit more, and that time is ticking too far gone. The post-plant, again, on the B site works out, and Gen.G are going to kick things off with a pistol.
Absolutely beautiful play from Gen.G. Even with Texture not finding his ones up close, that utility that they have to fall back on is absolutely insane. And we've seen teams falter to exactly like you said, Tom. That setup from Heretics, they're on their way back in. It's a laneway plant. There's only one way that you can peek it. They put down a grab well to try to deal with these players and buy the time to get the defuse. And I think it was a counter grab well that ended up stopping the defuse going half. That was the difference between the round going to Heretics and Gen.G getting off to a flying start. 1-0 facing into an eco.
Yeah, a very heavy investment here from Gen.G. They've gone for rifles and every single player. You can't really afford to lose any players here, otherwise it's going to be some severe cost. But sticking with the Guardians, maybe, I don't know, we saw some pretty impressive battles between Ion and Riens when we saw this map played versus FPX, so maybe they're trying to steal a leaf out of the book of the Guardian. Plenty of positions that can be wallbanged. Again, if you talk about that post plant on the B site, we saw Boo attempting to try and do the same with an Odin. For now, though, for Heretics, it's exactly what you expect. Your Sentinel alone on the B site, just trying to get information, and then a 4-man stack on A.
Yeah. Even though they've got the numbers, hard to convert the kills up against the rifles in play for Gen.G, even if they do go running into them. For now, though, a couple of shots fired. Boo spamming through and almost going down. He's on 15 HP. It's all a ruse from Gen.G. They make early noise, they keep the stack on A, and now the rotation comes in. The pressure onto a man like Benji Fishy. It was a classic and 2 traps to play off of. It's going to be very difficult to find the value. His camera's already been taken back.
30 seconds left.
I like the trap we're seeing here up top, trying to cancel out any updraft dashes. But it's just a conventional push from Gen.G, and they know exactly where Benji is. Nice and clean.
Nobody else really on spot. And some aim practice early on for Texture. It's going to be another 4K. Add another to the collection. It's been spoken about quite a bit, how many days it's been since Texture got an ace. I think it was only probably mere rounds since the last time he got a 4K, but another one on the books, and more importantly, he's now 2 away from a Blade Storm.
Yeah, I think it's been like 14 4Ks so far, give or take. It was 114 days. Can't quite get that ace, but hey, you wouldn't want to do it against an eco anyways, right? We want that to be a meaningful ace. If he's going to do it, maybe it's here. They've still got a lot to work with on Gen.G. 4 Guardians and a Bulldog coming into round 3. Team Heretics invest heavily. All the credits are on the line, and a loss here means a big extension by Gen.G and a big lead early on for the attackers. Same approach, players spread on B and mid, while the other 3 look for some control over A main. Happy to take a fight if they're offered it. Happy to take the orb if they're not.
Yeah, I think someone to highlight within this match as well is going to be Miniboo. We've talked about his individual performance. This map, he definitely struggled. 9 and 20, even falling down the gap in mid for one of those deaths. And sure, he came into the series late, again, like leading the way through at the end, but it's definitely dangerous territory if he's not going to have those performances, because well, one of the more exciting things is we do have Meteor back on that duelist with Breeze removed. It wasn't something that he's been playing too recent, but we know he's incredible at it.
We see the orbs all farmed up on Meteor. How important it is for him to have his ult for entering in. Trap, it's caught. Texture, will he make it back? Just about. He's safe for now. Boo, not so much though. Dropped after just the one. The spike dropped. They know it's on its way to B, and there's reinforcements coming through. Minibu's there to back them up, but they can't quite stop that plant.
Dart. They're going to know exactly where Meteor is. Nowhere else really been to stand. Karen's position has already been spotted, and a lot of low players now for the side of Gen.G. Bonus not exactly going to plan, and well, it seems like it's only going to get a little bit worse as we will see Texture fall off the edge of the map. And well, we definitely need the replay from Benji. He even did a little dance, a little emote at the end.
Yeah, early on, you're seeing the falling deaths. I don't know if that's off the initial trap. Maybe it pulled him back in. I think he put an updraft into play, and sometimes it can act a little bit like a slingshot.
Well, I think he dashed backwards.
He did at first, and then I think an updraft. Oh, there he goes.
30 seconds left.
Oh, yeah, he was falling for quite a long time. This had been happening for a while, evidently, but he's having a good time at least. And of course, the last round flawless financially. Gen.G are going to be able to go back into this round with another purchase. In fact, they're in a great spot overall, even having themselves a dimensional drift onto Meteor, which we already seen from Life can really cause mass amount of issues on this map. I think a lot of teams still are not completely comfortable on Abyss just yet. It's still by far the newest map in the pool, and I'm waiting to see, well, if Heretics have got something planned. This aggressive push might be just that.
Yeah, the cam is flipped around to mid this time, not looking for the same control deep on B, leaving no one there to watch the push up, hoping the cam will do the job. But it's Meteor's ultimate, and they farmed it up. I expect them to use it in a round like this. Credits on the line, and for Heretics, a little bit of a moneymaker in the last. There goes the ult, immediate TP, so he's nice and close, ready to take this. Already spotting the first. There's a lot of info now. They know there's 3 players here. The decoy is going to be used, sending them back alongside the recon. This is site control and a plant for Gen.G.
Yeah, this is all they want. Gets them into that post plant again. At least it will do. Slightly moved the plant, but it's still going to be a difficult place to fight from, especially with Meteor up close. That's going to get cleared out by the drone. That's something at least, and actually, he gets dropped, trying to maneuver himself back out of position. Utility being thrown in for Heretics, but they've still got 4 to find.
Okay, Texture already spotted, but he's going home! 3 already! Karen takes away the ace possibility, and again, he'll be denied the 5th. But Gen.G win the round, and I guess that's all that matters. Spirits are definitely high on that roster.
Dear Lord, he's got 4 kills in 2 rounds. That's all his kills on the board at the moment. 8 and 2. It's funny, last round he falls off the map, having a little bit of a laugh, and now he's the one laughing at absolutely everybody else. Just so clean with it. And I don't even think there's arguments at the moment for who is the best player in the world. This guy is just tearing everybody apart.
Against a team like Heretics as well. So many individuals we write home about. We've seen them perform on the international stage, make deep runs into the tournament, but
that's the story, isn't it? The story is literally they are going through the teams that they have to play at in the finals of international events. That's what Gen.G are doing. The latest, of course, was Heretics over in Shanghai, which they won, but I don't know. The way they're playing at the moment, it's already looking a little bit scary.
It seems almost undeniable. One of the best teams in the world, we know, but it could be the Texture. Good for one, and the dash keeps him on the map. He's not falling this time, and it's Minibu who loses his life early on, trading out the death of Meteor. And look at the shift from Gen.G. They know the rotates have come in, and sure, the drone is going to see that no one has actually pushed through that gap, and the Texture's fallen back, but it's all about the position of Boo. He's able to catch Karen, confirming the rotation they suspected, and now slowing them down. The Stars put to cover his retreat, and he's right back to middle. No need to take that fight. With 40 seconds on the clock, the pressure's on for Gen.G to find an opening.
Yeah, his only goal was to buy time. The rest of the team fully rotating, but it seems like Gen.G might just go back. And while Benji, I think he's made that realization.
30 seconds left.
Even still, though, Munchkin could just make a little bit of noise, try and attempt to bait them, and actually, without spotting anything out, he's continued this push. His teammates starting to come back, but the cam is going to give the game away. And now you're going to see Wu get back into position. Even still, a potential for a 1 versus 1, but with the time so desperately low, there was a moment for Boo But they are going to be making their way on. A nice kill for Woot at least. 7 seconds, and there's the spam. That's a spike down. Round already over. Arians will add the final nail in the coffin. It's a second on the board for Heretics. And what a big round from Boo.
Great push and pull, and yeah, it's just the fact that they get Boo into that position. Gen.G have played slow. They've pressured A. They've made noise in a number of rounds, but they've always left Karen behind and often Munchkin to watch middle. But Karen wasn't sitting outside B this time. Any other round, Boo would have had an early fight on his hands, a scrap. But instead, Snake in the grass confirms the rotation and locks in the round as a result. That's 3-2 now. The gap not going to be extended by Gen.G, but they're still able to buy up. Still have that Hunter's Fury to work with after last round. And a slower approach, this time more focused on that B site. They want to catch Boo pushed up, but he's not giving them the fight.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to timing.
Big
Utility being expended into that A site. The Viper screen put there, but it is all a ruse. I think maybe the TP will have been heard. I think Boo was close enough, has that information, but caught sleeping at the wheel. Now it's on to Woot to try and defend this. The flash was good, but the counter flash was even better.
He's just stuck in the corner. He can't even retreat for free, knowing there could be someone peeking from the box. He's trying to force the fight. Catch at least one as they fall back from these plant positions, but there's nothing to be found. Rooting himself around the edge, and there it is. The element of surprise against Texture. Nice ranged fight with Karen down. That's some of the utility at least removed, and an early snake bite will buy them a little bit of time. The Thrash on its way, and it's caught Meteor. Only one man can defend him. Lackey is firing out the shock darts, delaying the defuse at least for a moment. Hunter's Fury now comes in to do the same. Fired off once, gets its mark. Second shot's good. Third will be a kill, but it's already half. They've got the kills from Meteor, though. He got 2 in the space of a second, and that's Gen.G locking in another round.
Yeah, I was thinking with the post-plant utility that was available for Heretics, like, Woot did fantastically well, like being able to put the Molotov just to force a player into an angle, then uses the Thrash as well to basically just keep someone in position. And it's just the late round utility from Lakia. His post-plant has been disgusting. That bought enough time, and wow, this is why we always want to see Meteor back on that duelist. If he was on any other team, that's probably where he would be. The other guy's Texture, though.
Meteor does enough, even in the first kill, without the insane spray correction. Yeah. Like, you've probably won it off of time alone, a 1v1 where they can't push Lakia and take him down. But considering the fact that Thrash goes out, there's 3 players alive. The first one that it would have hit was caught in a mosh pit and got dropped in time. It allowed the Thrash to instead go on to Meteor. At that point, Lakia is in a 1v4 for the next couple seconds. It doesn't look like he can stop it, but he'd already fired out that shock dart, beautifully timed. The Fuser happens to be low. Then Hunter's Fury that we mentioned earlier, used for the post plant, catches not just the wingman, but the man who put out the wingman in Woot. For Meteor to hit those shots as well, another nail in the coffin. 4-2, and the problem with that, after a couple of losses in the previous round, Heretics, some of these players are going to be struggling for money.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not looking like a great position to fight from on this defensive side. Obviously, they had an incredibly close victory versus FPX, but that was always the gamble. Like, I think the way that the veto went was somewhat expected in terms of the bans. Sunset has been by far the best map of Team Heretics. You can understand why they would want to go there, so it being removed by Gen.G makes sense. And then for Heretics, okay, they haven't played Abyss. Maybe they're not ready to go in that direction, so they've gone for that pick instead.
A hero operator on Miniboo. Everyone else with the pistols. If you're going to have a chance, this is one way to try to seize it back. Well, he's forced out of position right away. The spams back to Lakia, light him up. And the shift from Gen.G to the other side of the map. The question here, it's not even about the numbers on Heretics and where they go. It's about where does Miniboo go? Does he suspect this rotation? I already see him in middle. If he makes it to A in time, maybe they can grab a pick, but it looks like the stack will stick on B.
Yeah, the gamble is that maybe he can save the op, maybe he can win them the round with it. And even if not, he has the Blades on for the next round. The bigger problem, though, is that Boo's going to be under serious pressure. And he has nothing to play with. He expects the TP and actually wins that initial fight. Done incredibly well to read the gap of where his opponent's going to be. And now pushing into this. Actually has risks about it. It gives 1v1s at close range. A singular headshot is enough. And Boo's given them a real chance in this round.
He gets the smoke up too. They win the fight through the wall. Munchkin and Lakia, the last two alive. And a late flank from Munchkin might just pay dividends. The reveal goes up and he's already spotted one, but Mini Boo, Spidey senses were tingling. He could feel those eyes on him. Turns to take the kill, and with that, Heretics win out the round. And it's nothing to do with the op, really. Sure for the last kill, but Boo finding that little gap to play inside of, and the fact that they pressure him. I also thought it was funny. He killed Meteor, and then he shot the decoy later in case they had a second Yoru.
Well, the thing is as well, this is now a couple of times that we've seen Meteor TP into this backside. I think one was the round where Riens gets the opener. This time they even put the Cosmic Divide into position to allow him an angle, but it's just something that clearly Heretics are very aware of, especially Boo. Just knows exactly what that's going to be, and then it creates an awkward fight for Texture. As I said, you're running through a corner of a Cosmic Divide, even versus a low player. That can cause problems. Fantastic read from the IGL, but it does feel like a bit of an oversight from Gen.G to keep giving these early fights in low-buy rounds.
Yeah, I think they just assumed after making noise on the other side of the map, that would be the gap that was available for them. The blind stopped Boo from being able to deliver the op shot into what could have been a collateral. Gen.G, second lease of life on this. Another orb taken. Meteor just one away from the dimensional drift. And they have a Viper's Pit to work with. In a low-buy round like this, that could be invaluable. But I see Munchkin's role in this round won't be to get on site and plant it. Instead, he's the one sitting back, trying to catch that late lurk, and had a lot of success with it last round, although he didn't get the kills. He got into position.
Yeah, this is the thing. Finances, not great. Really good opportunity for Heretics to equalize this one. The site, however,
Could see Pit.
is going to be taken. Yeah, it's whether or not they want to invest it with, maybe if they had a couple of SMGs. The pistols aren't bad, but they are going to risk it. They're going to gamble, and already, well, they're going to have to fight from a disadvantage. An interesting Pit, one that takes an awful lot of control. If you're going to push through it, you need so much, but they're going to have to spam onto the players attempting to tap that spike.
Yeah, the problem is they can't even see when it's being stuck. You got to get that a little bit closer. It's going to be a risk. But for Team Heretics, trying to negotiate their way back into the pit is a problem. Up close, no utility to try to drop that diffuser. It's all down to spams, and right under their nose, it's coming across the line. Already, the round is sealed. Texture, a formality as he falls. And 4-4 we go. A nice attempt on a low-buy round from Gen.G, but it doesn't work out this time.
No, I think, again, either it was that they wanted to try and just leave a very narrow angle that you knew the player would defuse on just outside, or they were maybe hoping it just went a tiny bit deeper. That's the only other option. I don't mind the idea, because a lot of the time you're going to have to force people to try and run through the entirety of that pit. Nonetheless, a single ultimate expended, not a whole lot of damage. And that operator's now going to go back into the hands of Miniboo. He's looking for an early fight towards this side of the map. And well, unfortunately, he's going to be met with Meteor.
Well, actually, Meteor seems to be going towards the back of the site for now, just taking the control to dash in from Texture to meet him. They've got boots on the ground, and Team Heretics decide not to compete with this one. The decoy sent through, just ignored. Gen.G, oh, they have Texture going up close. Now for a second, he's going into that right corner, but the smoke's fading. He'll tuck away and play this post plant with the squad.
Immediate flash. Drone to follow. They're going to know where Texture is, but the rest of the team is still elusive to the rest. And even still getting past this double duelist could be tough. Texture combining Meteor with another. And although they've lost Munchkin, I don't think it's going to matter. Lakia doesn't quite connect. Benji's been given a small opportunity, but again, Texture is there, leaving it to just Boo, and he won't last long whatsoever. Gen.G extend their lead once again, and once more, this double duelist is as fearsome as ever.
I love the setup. Yeah, it's the fact that you've got Texture taking the initial fight, tanking the drone at the start, and then he's swinging back, spraying them while Meteor jumps up top. And then later in the round, you have a little bait onto Woot. He's looking one way, ready to take Meteor down, and he gets swung from behind. Absolutely gorgeous from Gen.G. 5 rounds on the board now. And a chance to push it further. If they win this one, again, credits are going to be struggling on that defensive side. Big opportunity for the attackers.
Of course, a lot of the success came from Heretics with their post plants on that attack. Even though things went to OT, they really were disgustingly strong when it came to the B side. As we've seen from the other side, a much faster paced move here. It's going to be Benji completely caught off guard. Meteor's already managed to get that opener. Riens is still trying to just hold on to some ground, but the A site almost completely lost.
Yeah, Riens doesn't want to overcommit to this. He's heard a player come back up towards the top. They're ready for him. But another smoke goes down. The spam's favoring Meteor. He's lit Woot to a fraction of his HP, down to 10. Texture falls. They're conscious that Meteor could be coming on the flank. Woot looks away just as he rounds the corner. That's going to be a late flank potential. But look how far behind someone like Boo is. If they lose these players in the spawn, it could be over. Although Miniboo's quick to correct. Keep it into a 3v3. Late flank by Boo, spotted. No, he has to win this fight to give them a chance to be able to pressure these players, but it's Lakia to come ahead. Miniboo already on his third, hunting down the ace. It's been evading the jet on the other side, and he won't find it this time. Hunter's Fury burned up at the end, but it's for a round win, 6-4, and Team Heretics now in the dirt when it comes to credits.
Yeah, it was just to make sure that even though Miniboo was fighting, they got rid of the wingman. The defuse couldn't come through under their nose, and, well, 6-4, a 2-round lead. I've been liking this sort of pace change, with the fact that just immediately taking down Gen.G, like caught from behind, wasn't aware of how far they managed to get up mid. And from then onwards, again, it seems like once they get the sites and get into the post plant, it's been incredibly difficult for Heretics to get back into these rounds. Texture. Bladestorm active, and on the other side, again, some severe weaknesses.
I bet Miniboo got a little scared there.
I think we all
grabbed
did.
Onto that rope. Yeah, I was worried.
Small clench.
You know, they almost had last round, right? Heretics burned up the Bladestorm alongside the operator just to try to make that retake happen. So now there's a big disadvantage in those fights, and you see it manifested. Karin, though, able to find Miniboo, but it's traded out with Texture. Woot up close, playing through the smokes. He hears them falling back and has to make a decision on whether he hunts them down. It's a risk. It might just be worth taking this time. Catching them in the orb, but Meteor pulls out the gun just in time. Steps are heard by Boo. He's only got a Sheriff. He might be able to find some value as they cross.
Yeah, he's been in this position before, though. It seems like they're still unaware of it, and he's actually done a lot of damage onto Munchkin as well. Even still, though, Meteor's just farming. Rien's left. We've seen him pull off crazy rounds with the Guardian. This wouldn't even have to be the best of them. First kill's easy. But the other two players are going right over to the other side of the map, and he's still going to be wary, because Karin likes to be left behind, likes to be left to lurk. And for now, that's exactly what he's doing.
I love that from Meteor. They don't know where the last guy is, so they send out the gate crash towards the A site. He goes to link up with his teammates. Someone dies on B. All right, give me the spike. I'll go plant. And now you get that late round potential for Karin. Reveal goes out, so Karin knows he's not lurking on the right angle, but Meteor cleaning it up. 4 kills in this round, catching Riens off guard to close it. And now 7-4. The lead guaranteed at the half. The question is, by how much?
Yeah, this was always the reason, or one of the reasons, why their composition on Breeze was so deadly. It was the fact that just Texture and Meteor as a duo on Duelist has to be the best of the best. Like, it really does seem just impossible at times, and with his constant repositioning again, it's now going to be Meteor adding another 4K to the tally. 7-4 up. The map choice of Heretics. I think many, including myself, believe that Lotus is going to be a tough ask for Heretics to turn the series. And getting a 5th, maybe even a pistol,
Who's next?
it's going to be paramount.
Same TP we've seen before from Meteor. Uses the ult, gets up close. Last time, Heretics gave the site up completely. This time, that's not really an option with Boo so close, and the decoy distracts him just long enough. One more bullet could have done the job, and down she goes. Okay, Gen.G able to eliminate Texture, keeps the numbers competitive, but Meteor's got a flash play, even on low health. He's not falling back. He won't be deterred, but the Hunter's Fury makes it more interesting.
3 still standing, but once more it's those post plants. Munchkin's even, well, we've seen this one before, sat there with an Odin in the backlines, just waiting to spam onto the spike. They've still got the snakebite available as well, and they can try and pull players away. Now they've cleared all of the close positions. Miniboo maybe having that realization, but there goes up the orb, and now it's left all onto Munchkin, just trying his best to buy as much time as possible. It has already been half though, which could be a problem. Miniboo needs this kill, and while anything else isn't going to stop it. Heretics at least have managed to get themselves that 5th round, but even still, it's a solid half for Gen.G.
Absolutely. Yeah, this attack side's really heated up, especially towards the end. Got their streak of rounds, and they've been looking competitive. Now we move to the defensive side, and a different challenge for them. But if players like Meteor and Texture can keep it up, this double duelist look incredibly strong here.
Either way, we're going to be off to the interview with some of Benji's family.
I'm just drenched in sweat. It's embarrassing.
아, 날씨가 너무 더운데, 너무 좋긴 좋은데 날씨가 너무 더워가지고 이제 그냥 밖에 나가기만 하면은 땀이 뻘뻘 나가지고 어떻게 한국 사람들이 날씨를 견디는지 모르겠다고 얘기를 했습니다. 그럼 엄마피씨, 벤지피씨 선수가 항상 경기를 할 때 보면은 막 에너지 넘치고 막 진짜 소리도 너무 많이 지르거든요. 평소에 집에서도 좀 이렇게 시끄러운 아이였을까요? Now, Benji Fishy though, we see him energetic and all fired up round after round. Was he always loud loud like this at home?
Very much so, yes. At night time, he would wake me up in the middle of the night. I was always shouting at him for being quieter. So yeah, always that loud.
맨날 이렇게 에너지가 넘쳐가지고 어렸을 때는 이제 엄마 PC가 자고 있는데 그냥 갑자기 밤에 막 시끄럽게 굴어가지고 빨리 다시 자 약간 이렇게 얘기를 했기 때문에 좀 혼내는 일도 많았다고 얘기를 하는데요. 그러면 형 PC, 벤지 PC가 오늘 복수를 좀 다짐하고 있는 것 같나요? Now, bro Fishy, is Benji out there for revenge today?
Definitely, yeah. He doesn't like to lose at all. So yeah, he's going to be coming for him.
역시 승부욕이 넘치는 선수이기 때문에 확실히 복수를 꿈꾸고 있다고 얘기를 했습니다. 이렇게 해서 벤지피씨 가족들 만나봤고요. 이어지는 경기 함께 즐겨보시죠. Right, thank you guys and back to Abyss.
Well, you heard it there. Benji Fishy's out for revenge. Thank you very much to Mama and Brother Benji for stepping out there to get this done. Now, look, they're definitely supporting Heretics, as I'm sure a lot of people here are. But
I'd be worried if they weren't.
I think the Gen.G fans might be in the house. You could hear the roars in the rounds they were winning. 7 already on the board, and this pistol could extend that lead.
I will say the rounds they were winning were maybe a little bit more exciting, though. Just the explosive 4Ks we've seen from this squad, be it Meteor or Texture, and I don't know if they're going to be stopping anytime soon. Speaking of that, just look at Miniboo, straight sprinting in towards the B side. Seems like both teams have a similar idea, but already it's going to be the, well, almost flood back in immediately. They don't even look like a retake. They're so fast to get back into the site.
Munchkin swinging, but nobody can get ahead of Meteor. He's hunted down
another one.
A 4K, which seems to be Gen.G's speciality. An 8th round now locked in relatively flawless fashion. And that is a strong start to the second half in a map that we need to see Heretics win if you're a fan of Bind. Because Lotus, let's just say Gen.G are pretty good there. They certainly were last time these two teams faced.
It's so easy to forget when a team has someone like Texture how good Meteor is at the duelist role. Like, this guy just pop flashes back into the site and 4 players are dead within a matter of seconds. Like, they really are just diffing the side of Heretics at the moment. And well, another pistol under their belt. For the side of Heretics, you can't really have much in terms of a reinvestment, a pistol or two, maybe an extra bit of utility here and there that could be expended into this round. Other than that, just another chance to farm up some extra orbs. And with Meteor already 2 away, I kind of want to see him go hunting here.
We may well see that. There's already a gate crash put out towards the B site for a quicker rotation. I think that's going to be a big factor in how those, certainly the early gate crashes are used from Meteor. They haven't fought for A main. It is being spotted by Karen and no one around the area. As we can see, if they did push up and take that space, it would be in a bit of trouble. A late clear by Heretics on their way back towards this angle. And Karen, well, he doesn't want anything to do with it. Good thing as well. The Gecko Flash was just seconds away.
Definitely being patient. But the expectation here is that you're not going to see too much aggression from the side of Gen.G in a round like this. You have such a huge weaponry advantage again. It's only really Texture that hasn't invested into a rifle. They've been going very heavy in these second rounds, making sure the conversion is there. And, well, with 35 seconds left on the clock, this might just be a shooting gallery for Munchkin. He's waiting, doesn't have a lot of support. This might mean that they can either get a trade or get themselves in for that after plant. He's going to try his best to slow them down.
snakebite does keep them in position for at least a moment, and that's long enough for Lakia to strike. One more shot down below to Woot will deal with him, and it's just Boo. Nice and easy for the side of Gen.G. 3 rifles carried forward. The Guardians will be in full effect, and a 9-5 lead at this point. Heretics really need to start putting rounds on the board, or this one's going to become a pretty bleak outlook on the series.
Yeah, they at least managed to get rid of one rifle, but as you can see, like I think it's probably just going to be Lakia. Yeah, Lakia will play with a pistol, so with how good the duelists have been, it might not even matter too much. And already, there seems to be crunch time for the side of Heretics. As it was said on the desk, I think losing your own map choice in this series is seeming like a bit of a death sentence, and with them being 4 rounds down already, it's seeming a bit more problematic. Meteor as well, with how he's been playing, you can understand why he's feeling confident. Drones going up on the other side, and Munchkin again is already going to do serious damage on the entry to the site.
Oh, Meteor's being caught. I think he might have gate crashed in, but he certainly didn't gate crash out. Mosh Pit takes him down. They know Munchkin was up top as well. Decent bit of information to work with, and it's the fight onto Mini Boo that Heretics come out ahead with. Now a 4 versus 3, and one of those players left alive has the weaknesses. Thrash put through, no conversion on it, but Karen goes down. It was the aggression up top that got yet another advantage. Almost slipped away with Gen.G fishing, and it does in the end. But with Lakia down, a 1 versus 3 for Texture. A big round from this man. We've seen plenty of them. 8 bullets left and no HP. 9-6. Heretics are back on the board.
Yeah, an important round for them to take. I was definitely a little bit worried with how things have started off, and I think what we've seen from Munchkin so far on this B defense is that a lot of the time he's going to be able to get them the opener. Just with pre-fires, he's very ready for any sort of B aggression with counter utility to slow them down, but it's the aggressive pace from Miniboo. Catching a couple of players off guard, solid utility from Woot, and I think this is so important. As said, last time he played this map, he was 9-20. He's already beaten that and up the top of the board for the team. If Miniboo can build into the tournament, as Heretics have sort of talked about as a roster, as his brother talked about in the interview earlier, that could be the team that, well, went on the run to the final, even if he wasn't there for it.
Similar setup to what Gen.G were going for on the attack side. One player lurking B, one lurking on mid, but Boo overextends slightly, gets his head ripped clean off. A valuable opening duel for Gen.G. They don't have to get out of position to do it. There's no risks that can be punished, and the spam from Meteor is absolutely perfect, deleting Miniboo on the right angle, and now the split here from Gen.G. 2 players through main, fighting Meteor and still not able to drop him before he draws blood. Gen.G's the last man standing, 1 against 3. Spike dropped in the open, and at this point they know where he is from the door breaking.
He needs to isolate one. He'll get the first chance and actually manages to win that. Uncharacteristic from Texture. And now has the information of where both of these players are. Karen just waiting. Watching towards the spawn, but the time now gives the game away. It's not clean, but still Gen.G's getting the job done. Another kill under his belt. 25 seconds to play with, so doesn't need to go for the plant just yet. And you can see Munchkin slowly making his move. The cam is actually going to give it away. He now knows exactly where his opponent is. May be able to try and retrieve that spike, but is almost trying to bait in his opponent for the fight. Try and get him to peek this one, sticking it all the way, but that snake bite is going to slow him a little bit more. Munchkin, a safe pair of hands. It got sketchy, it got dangerous. But even still, Gen.G come out with a round.
Really well played by Munchkin. You could see as the time started to tick away, he knew what he was facing. He knew the initial plant, the snake bite denies it, and then you know he's going to try to fake it, but the timing absolutely perfect. Gen.G though, he really did a good job in this 1 versus 3, especially like you said, a rare whiff from Texture, and you really got to capitalize on those, and he very nearly did. But a 4-round lead still for Gen.G, and the economy a little sloppy for Heretics. They're going to go in for a mixed buy, a couple of rifles, so some potential still. But Gen.G certainly seem to have a commanding lead over this series, over this map at least so far.
Yeah, the scary thing as well is they are getting ever closer to just having every single ultimate online. Like they are a couple or 3 orbs away.
You missed Boo.
Yeah, Boo has managed to get past, but the thing is, it depends if Karen is just going to decide to try and give up this angle. With the way that he's peeking it, I still feel like he's going to be safe to win the duel. Utility being thrown in. potential that the rest of the players are just still going to try this dive in towards the B side. Hasn't been successful so far. Great flash, but even still the dart is better. Texture this time there with the opener. Karon does go down though. Again, we see these lurks from Boo, and this time it's successful.
They'd already planned on going back towards Boo. You know, he's felt that he had the space. He heard the steps as they backed off, the Astra Star on B, and he took it. But winning that fight was essential. Otherwise, this whole squad would be left in no man's land. Instead, they can capitalize on the space. Ult by Meteor to grab the info, and he sees them. Grabs back site control. They've already flooded back in through the choke point. Now they just have to fight on the sides, and the drop from Lakia, it buys enough space. The kills swinging either way, but with Boo on 20 HP, it's down to Munchkin again, but this time, it's Heretics coming out on top. Gorgeous shot from Boo. He had to hit the first, and this time he did.
He only had 3 bullets remaining, and he was just confident in connecting that first bullet. Also incredibly low on HP, so I don't even know if he would have got a second chance, but this is what he's been hoping for. We've seen a few rounds now where he's been taking these fights on the other side of the map from the team, but I don't know if they would have expected him to be able to do this much. A big round victory, a boost in economy, and more importantly, it has sent the opponent's money straight down into the ground. A chance, potentially, for Heretics to build back into this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, they might not be able to buy weapons, big ones at least. They've got a Sheriff or two, but it's the Blade Storm I'm worried about. Texture's had a lot of big rounds, starting it off with 2 4Ks. Mini Boo on the other side. No, it's the headshot,
what?
But the wall got in the way. Texture lands the blow, and now finds themselves an advantage for Gen.G. However, the push is coming in on the other side, and, well, just look at the weapons there. It's a Sheriff and a Classic. I'll find it tough to deny this plant, or even to get damage.
Yeah, a little bit of chip damage to Wu. An attempt by Karon to slow them down with utility, but that hasn't happened. And unfortunately for them, the player they killed didn't actually have a gun to play with, so they haven't been able to retrieve it. Clearly the pressure being felt, though, as Thrash has been thrown in. An extra cost to this round. Meteor will fall, but again, a few players now a little bit low. There is potential for Gen.G to at least make this one costly.
Yeah, all eyes on the Blade Storm realistically, but 39 HP, it's going to be tough. You almost need the instant shot, and it's Benji to land it. A third for him in this round, and no, not quite the fourth. Karon somehow making this very costly with just the Classic. He can't reload the retrieved rifle in time. Double digits for Gen.G, but they're being caught up on. Now the gap down to 2.
Yeah, again, I don't mind the way that Heretics are just making sure a lot of that early control can't be taken. Even in this round where it's just looking at Miniboo, he was 1 away from a Blade Storm, put him on a pistol, leave him on the other side of the map just so you can watch for that utility. And then their overall executions as a 4 have looked pretty good. I think especially the usage of that Dizzy. This time, though, it's looking a little different, a little bit more direct. And with Texture having an operator on the other side of the map, doesn't look like he's going to be challenged, at least for now.
Certainly pressure being put on A. This is going to be quite a quick play from the side of Heretics. Waiting out that grab. Well, Karon, he's still in the corner. He's got some support, but the flash has blinded him for a moment. Woot did so well with that. The Dizzy took the side away from every player on site, and then it's an easy round. You'd imagine 4 versus 2, post-plant util for Rienz and for Boo, and Gen.G not even going to try this one.
No, and that's the risk of playing those close corner angles. Like, it almost worked out for Karon. Well, he did manage to get himself one, but then when the Dizzy's in, it's so difficult to either like take the fights with the players that are swinging you or manage to actually shoot the flash instead. I think either way, he was going to end up dead. I think the same fate was there for Meteor. Again, the Dizzy having high impact and Woot himself being able to find that many kills. They're starting to get there with this attack side. And obviously, for Texture, Munchkin, saving the rifle, saving the operator is the main thing they need to do to make sure they can at least challenge a bit in the next round, because the rest of the players probably won't have too much to play with.
It's a good resurgence. Look at this from Wu. He even got blinded himself. I didn't notice that. And the triple on the back of it. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I'm thinking Karon's position is really what's going to get them across the line there, but just the perfect reaction to the Dizzy revealing the players. Although how he lands those shots, I'm not quite sure. Timeout for Gen.G. They're going to take a moment to gather themselves. Their lead is now under threat with Heretics hot on their heels. They don't have much to fight with in this round. The operator for Texture, the rifle from Munchkin that they carried through, but investment is going to be very limited on the back of them.
Yeah, I think over the last few rounds, Heretics have started to realize that the more direct executions, maybe with a singular lurker, are what are working out better, especially moving away a bit more from that B site, because the early B site damage from Munchkin was actually very good. Like, he was getting the opener in a lot of rounds, or he was making it so that so many players heading into B were very low. With the A site executions, a lot of it feels more about like, okay, is Meteor going to win this fight? Can Karon delay? He's being left as more of an anchor player, and they're not really respecting their utility. They are throwing the Dizzy straight through it, and then just either having someone dash onto the site or maneuver their way onto the site in a different way in the form of Boo with his lurks. We need to see if there's going to be some sort of switch up now to potentially stack up that site a little bit more. It doesn't seem like it. Same setup on B, that operator for Texture, but again, it could just be the case of, okay, let's see if they go this way. If we can sort of hold onto the site as two, use those rifles. If they don't go this way, we just save them again.
I think it's the right call, for sure. Play the gamble. They'll push up on A, try to force the issue, adding in a bit of a curveball to this round. Shock Dart as well, thrown in for some damage, but doesn't land. It has slowed Heretics. The idea here, you contest it early, you get the space, or you manage to push them back in the other direction. A lot of the time, that's what we'll see from teams after seeing that kind of resistance. In the late round, they'll expect that stack to be on A. The op still sitting around mid. Texture's making me dizzy the way he's flicking back and forth. It's the rifle on Munchkin. If it finds one or two, yeah, it could be huge, but Heretics aren't committed yet.
Surprised if they do end up heading back to B. I was going to say, the orb is still there, so they could go retrieve that, get Thrash online, but it seems like, at least in terms of where they feel confident,
the drones made them go back.
Site might be there. Now they are going to head over, and as I said, if they get the orb, that could put them in a pretty powerful position. The only thing I'm worried about is they're heading back into the operator, the rifle. That's also where the Viper's Pit could be put into play, and there's a Hunter's Fury for Lakia if he wanted to try and buy time on the plant, if he could rotate into position. That's the main danger, but they don't know they're walking into it.
They have absolutely no idea. There's the snake bite, even going to cancel out the drone. 20 seconds left, barely any time. You can't take this back in the other direction. It's time to commit. Viper's Pit goes in to slow them, but Texture, another uncharacteristic whiff. And the plant around the backside. The pit's not covering it, but the Hunter's Fury stops it. Lakia grabbing one, looking to do a bit more damage as the push comes around the back, and it's beautiful! Karen's dropped him just in time, and with the spike down, the round is done! Gen.G have made it work! An absolutely gorgeous game plan, and what a result!
They were set up so perfectly for that, denying them the space on A, the expectation that maybe the rotation would go back to A because they'd seen so many players there. Instead, Heretics walked directly into the trap. The Hunter's Fury, as said, was ready and waiting to delay just that little bit more. And then you just have the wraparound from Karon while everything is going wrong, while there's a mess that's been created. He's able to capitalize. That is a tough round for Heretics to lose. They've still got the finances. They've still got Thrash, and well, they've still got their lives.
To be thankful for that. 11-9 lead, even with a couple rounds where Texture's not his usual self. He's gone back out for more. They need to be careful, but they are lined up in a firing squad, waiting for this peek to come through. He might get one, but he can't get out, and not even the one to be found. Punish from Miniboo. The rifle's in play for Heretics, matching up this time against the early aggression on A main. They won't be sent back in the other direction this time. At least it'll be of their own accord if they do.
Yeah, we've seen one double stack pay off. Maybe another can. For Meteor, the potential for an ultimate. The dimensional drift not far away. Munchin's going to be forced off again. It's the same, but with his fallback, Boo is there to capitalize. They finally managed to isolate that man. But they haven't spotted Lakia. Even still, with a two-man advantage, they now look to head in on the other side of the map. Karon again trying to delay them as much as humanly possible, but both players within the site will fall. Lakia, the last man standing, and well, no doubt going to try and hold on to the gun.
Very similar to what we saw last round in terms of the drones having super high impact. Yeah, the fact that you tag the player up top, you know he has to run, and that's when the swing comes in from backside, even waiting late into the round. It's the benefit of having global utility like that from Astra. 11-10, double digits for Heretics. You know, you would have thought they'd have it in the last round. They've gotten here in an unconventional manner, but the gap is down to just one again. Gen.G, though, they've been guarding that lead with their life. See if they let it slip this time.
Yeah, I think, again, this is just another a bit of credit that needs to go to Boo. I think he does fantastically well, even if it's just like a micro thing, like reading the way that an individual is falling back or how you could potentially pressure someone into making the exact move that you want them to do. I feel like he is someone that is a little bit underrated in that regard, especially on this map. I think he has a great read on how to play that attack side. 19 and 13 right now. Munchkin, again, it's the same. Initial contact, snakebite down, trying to slow them as much as humanly possible. This time, though, there is no opener. There's no success for him.
Mostly weak weapons. Guardians are on the way to help out. Guardians of the B site. See if they can hold it down. Meteor does well to find one, but that's all she wrote. Defense here by Texture, steps into the smoke, loses his sight for a moment, but now he's got it tied 2 versus 2. Rifles for both, and the Guardian from Texture has been sublime thus far. Spike in the open, but a smoke to retrieve it.
It's not dropped in the kindest of positions. Karon can play Overlord, fight from above, and it's left on Taboo again. 55 HP, a bullet will do the trick. And he knows that he needs to try and isolate, but that's why Gen.G are going to look to team up together, fight this one, and I thought maybe he'd get away with it, but not quite. Karon and Texture, a deadly duo, if ever I've seen one, and once again, the success on the B side just hasn't been there.
No, it hasn't. Player like Karon's having so much impact in this game. Those 2 pieces he's found in a number of rounds have been the thing that tips the scale, dropping the spike just a number of rounds ago in one that they didn't stand that much of a chance in. Here, the reposition is absolutely perfect. You see it as soon as the first kill is found, the simple evaluation. I fought one close, the last guy was in heaven, and he's gonna swing off that contact, of course. But Karon's a little wiser than that. He's not gonna make it that easy. And again, Gen.G defend their lead. They're not letting Heretics equalize now. 2 rounds in a row for Heretics to go to overtime, or they'll be facing into Gen.G's map pick, a specialty map for this squad with a 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, and then the thing is, they've had their moments. They've had their opportunities throughout this map so far with, I think, blips that have cost them. Like, I think some of the individual skill we've seen from Gen.G just padding the gaps of a map that they literally haven't played before in an official matchup. But also just the fact that I feel like sometimes when they get into the site, things can just get a little bit lost, and just losing the spike, allowing for those rotations to all come in, and angles even being created that actually ended up benefiting the players on Gen.G. It's always going to be tougher. You also have to bear in mind the last time that they did have the victory on this map, it was an absolutely lights out performance from Riens. He's down at the bottom of the board, not having the same success. Sure, there's been other people that have stepped up in response. It's not like they are being boomed out of this map, but he's definitely a piece of the puzzle that they seem to be missing right now.
Texture's going up with the operator. He's careful of where that gap is, doesn't want to go falling. Boo keeps this up, takes a peek. In that window, he could be in a lot of trouble. Over on the A side, already the dash in from Miniboo. He now looks to hold up close, but the spray is a bit whiffy. Again, Karon's able to make it work, but Texture falls on B on the rotate. An advantage now to play with for the side of Heretics. Gen.G are going to have to try to recover this in the post plans. Heretics have given up site control completely. Someone's getting pulled off the map.
Already the spams have done so much damage. Lackey are gone. Meteor and Karon, an ultimate available, but probably not going to be used. They just can't beat this firing squad. And while Meteor's position has been revealed, he's going to have to clean these players up so absurdly quick. And Boo has already fallen back into a much more passive position. Doesn't want to give anything away. And even if it's going to be Riens that doesn't get the kill in the end, he's got teammates to fight for him. Another successful execution on this A site. As said, I think the A site plays from Heretics have been sublime so far in this second half. They need themselves one more. And then we get talking about the record they have in OT, which I'm not going to lie, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it's something like rounds 1 was like 12-3 or 2. Like, they genuinely are just a monster when they get into overtime.
Yeah, once they have that little breather in between the halves. Someone like Boo always capitalizes on it.
Has he lost his voice? That was a little bit quiet for Gen.G.
Don't know what that was from Benji. We'll ask him later. A timeout from Gen.G right here on the finish line. They've been stalled out. One more round needed, and it has been back and forth for the last 4 rounds. We keep that up, we'll be going to map 2 very soon. And Gen.G are trying to make sure of that right now. The only problem is, again, those credits, they've fallen quite low. We're not going to see many big buys out of this squad. In fact, even the one Phantom that they've got in play is going to have to be light shields. You've got Guardians, a Bulldog. Well, that would be a glass cannon Bulldog. I'm not sure about that one, Munchkin.
That's the thing, though. These are the rounds that somehow they seem to make work. Like when it comes to this defensive side, you've had those huge hero plays off the back of a Hunter's Fury, or we've also seen the Guardian win them around as well. So it's not like even with weaker weaponry or pieces missing or things that you're going to look at like, yeah, if it is a glass cannon Bulldog, it's not necessarily going to make much sense. But with how much success they've had in these low buy rounds, I'm also looking at Heretics and going, okay, this second half, you lost the pistol follow-up. Other than that, you have been the better side on this attack. Can you now convert this? And I'm looking at the setup as well. I don't know what the read is. Maybe just for the fact that it has been such successful A-side takes, but there is an open B-side right now.
No shields, no utility on Munchkin. He is playing this just with a Bulldog, and it's because they want that mid-aggression early, but they don't get the fight there. Instead, it is the B-side that's threatened, and Heretics have definitely picked the weaker spot. They found the gap in play. Ult used by Meteor. He's got his decoy still to work with. It's going to be set up soon, and here it comes. The big play. The spray is good. Mini Boo dropped immediately. Flash for backside. And the spray from Munchkin, good. Good job, he's got that rifle, and Meteor spearheading this push. They've got the advantage locked in. That spray has done a lot of damage to Benji's below half. Sitting inside the cage just behind it. It's faded and left him with nothing. Now a 1 versus 4.
They've used the divide.
To try to spray, but he can't with the Cosmic Divide. Absolutely gorgeous from Gen.G. They get it across the line at the last second, 13-11 on Heretics map pick.
Yeah, it was a battle, it was a brawl, it was a back and forth, but in the end, Gen.G get the job done, and that's been the thing with this team. You can go into a map that they've literally never played before, they can pull out comp they use on other maps, and even still they take it over the line. And now, well, after this break, they're going to their turf.
And there we see from Gen.G a big win. And what do you think about that, about the composition? Mentioning Breeze as well.
Yeah, and he was also saying that their philosophy was to go and take gunfights. I don't think so. The philosophy was get into the cringe post plants. So I've got a telestrator to break down how they were trying to do some of that stuff. So it's pulling back from round 6. And one of the things that I thought was excellent just right off the rip was the way that if you have a look at what's going on the minimap here, you've got this Viper Orb lineup that goes towards the back of mid there, and they're also running it with this Astra Smoke towards the back too. So what you'll see this do is it blocks off all of the information for the defenders in mid, basically anytime they want to do it. It allows them to fake an A split at the same time as going into a B post plant. So these players over towards B, they're not going to be doing anything. You've just got Meteor's gate crash over here as well, so he can reconnect with the rest of the team. They throw this Viper wall as well. This is a fantastic Viper wall. You're going to be able to go pivots through the mid. You're going to be able to updraft dash into this heaven area if you wanted to as well. It's a great idea. Heretics were never able to contest them in mid. Meteor breaks the door, flashes through, really makes it feel like there's a lot of A-split pressure happening. They got a drone in A main as well, so it really feels like an A-split. Meteor teleports, suddenly they're all through on B. They don't have the drone, so Boo should have got that kill. And as soon as he doesn't, Gen.G are in. And it's at this point, you're getting the plant down for sure, and you're getting cringe. Insane, insane preset cringe from Gen.G. Just to take a pause here as a moment, they have pull on the spike, a player playing on site. They have Hunter's Fury, Shock Dart lineups. It's all there. They got a snake bite. So player on site ends up going down, and Karen dies as well. So that's 2 of the layers of cringe removed already. But Munchkin makes sure to shoot off this snake bite right as he takes a duel. It doesn't even matter that he goes down here necessarily, because you see from Miniboo's perspective right there, he got vulnerable by that snake bite. If he hadn't, he wouldn't die to the Shock Dart that also comes through, but Lucky has also got the Hunter's Fury on top of it. You can't defuse the spike. I mean, am I saying that this map might need to take a look at some...
It's Pearl 2.0.
Am I saying that? No, not necessarily. Am I saying that Gen.G played it perfectly?
You're not saying that. I am. So some are saying, you're not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
No one's saying
that. Have I heard someone saying that? Yes.
I've heard many, but some are saying.
Many people are saying this. Every round on their attacking side, Team Heretics was dominating in mid, or Gen.G that is. If Team Heretics wanted to take that space, you have to put so many assets into retaking there. And even if you're committing into that, they had so many looks with just the hard execs that looked incredibly drilled. For the first time Gen.G played this map,
in their map pool? Where is the gap in their map pool?
There isn't one. They're perma-banning Sunset, which is like half the teams at this event. Best map, Team Heretics included. They look great on every map in the pool. Gen.G's winning the event. I'm convinced. I've seen enough. End it here.
It's absurd, and it's like just annoying to play against. That whole thing just looked like it sucked.
It's just so well drilled.
It just looked like it sucked. In any case, though, let's go ahead and check out a Verizon high-speed moment. Of course, we got Texture. He's going to be talking. He's going to be doing his thing. Doing the thing that we know that Texture does all the time, which is
falling off the map is what we know him
and that too.
That's so funny. That's
Look at him zooming.
Oh, I didn't realize it was
It takes so long to fall.
It's a cool trap from Benji Fishy as well, though, but he just shrugs it off and immediately goes into a 4K.
I think there's a contrast there. When Miniboo in their debut match fell off the map, he looked kind of out of it, a little emotionally boomed. Gen.G take any loss and just bounce it off. He goes back in, hits this nasty 4K, but of course it wasn't an ace. Because he's not allowed to get an ace.
He's not allowed.
It's been 100 days since getting one, and he
many
won't get one.
How many 4Ks does this man have?
A ridiculous
13
amount.
now. 13 since his last ace in terms of 4K.
But again, he just laughs it off. The vibes of this team are unbeaten. It's not just their map pool and their strategies and the individual players. It's the fun they're having on the stage. It's ridiculous.
It's so just Gen.G, an absolute vibe. But let's go ahead and check out what's going on over at the Heretics camp. We have Yinsu standing by.
I'm now standing by with Coach Neil Zinho from Team Heretics. Now, that was another very close map. Unfortunately, you weren't able to close it out. But it feels like it's becoming a little bit of a theme where every map can be so close, every map can go your way. Why do you think that's been so far, and why is it so much more labored?
I think it's more just like the teams we're playing against here are some of the best in the world, right? Like, I don't think we're expecting an easy game, and we're not playing 100% ourselves yet. We're getting back to the form that we had a couple of months ago. So I think until we reach our full potential, it's going to be labored until we can kind of find our form again. And if you don't play perfect, then these teams are going to put you to bed. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Neil, and good luck on map 2.
A lot of respect for his opponents, as you have to have, right? These are the best teams in the world.
And unfortunately, they're in the group of death. They basically need to play perfect if they want to get out here. Looking at our agent select for Lotus, there's not any surprises here. Both teams are playing that default Fnatic comp. We saw Team Heretics switch back to this from the neon look they had in EMEA in their first match at Champions.
And I said earlier to you, Golden Boy, that it was going to be a 2-1 Valorant day. Good, honest 2-1 Valorant. But unfortunately, Gen.G did manage to take the map pick away from Team Heretics. Well, that was the caveat I gave you at the beginning of the day, man. You got to listen to the full sentence, not just the headlines.
Oh.
Gen.G's been great on this map. 11-3 their record, and you have to bring up again Miniboo and how brutal these entries are going to be on the attacking side. Gen.G's site anchors look absolutely excellent on this map, and they're basically never losing it. This is going to be a real tough one for that European squad to try and bounce back with.
Yeah, indeed it is, Mimi. It's going to be a tall task for Heretics, but let's see if Los Niños can do it. Send it back over to Mitch and Tom for the call.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Yes, we're standing by for Lotus to kick off. Heretics on their defensive side and on the back foot having lost their pick 13-11, Tom. This is a map that I think in everyone's mind is going to go the way of Gen.G. A big challenge for Heretics to recover this series now.
Let's put it this way. You go back to Shanghai, you go back to the inform Heretics. They were 2-1 up. They came into this map and you go, okay, they got the momentum in their favor. They lost 13-4. So now they don't have the momentum in their favor. It's going to be that little bit more difficult. Now, they knew what they would be coming up against. Obviously, although they've gone back to sort of like the standardized comp, the roles have changed massively. That was what we saw when they played it out last time, and it was still very labored versus FPX. Now, I agree with what Neozinio said. I think FPX are heavily underrated, but if you're scraping through a game versus them, what are the chances you beat Gen.G?
Exactly, yeah. FPX played a fantastic game. We were impressed by them, but a lot more to be desired from Heretics if they're going to make this one competitive. Opening it up, Munchkin's down to 22 and Karen's down to 0. Control for Heretics towards Rubble and mass rotations towards this C site. There's already 2 players sat in waiting. It's Benji Fishy and it's Rien's, but they've been pushed back by that orb.
Tech's just going to look to try and play through it. Always fearsome in these pistols. They're doubling up. They're expecting it. They're waiting for him, and that works out for them. No trades to be had, and Rien's dominating. A good start for him with the pistol under the belts of Heretics.
Last time around, Heretics started on the attack side, so a little bit of a different scenario. But they went 3-0 up, Tom, and they lost 13-4. It was a streak from Gen.G, and they did not let go of those reins once they got their hands on them. For now, well, it starts out a similar way. Pistol round to Heretics. The second, well, should be a nice light buy from Gen.G. I'd be surprised if they go crazy and force it. And yeah, we're seeing just some classics and some sheriffs.
Correct me if I'm wrong as well. It was both pistols in the last map going the way of Gen.G. They were buying in with the 4 rifles as well, so it seems like both teams have a similar philosophy, although Guardians versus Bulldogs. But obviously, again, it means you can only really afford to lose one player. Miniboo's going to try and get aggressive, earn up as many orbs as he can towards those showstoppers. But that's the thing, an incredibly close map, a map that I think that you look at for the side of Heretics and go, okay, they probably could have taken that without some of the crazy plays that we had from either side. But with a pistol or 2 under their belt, could be a very different story. The fact is, though, it is a tougher map and a better map for the side of Gen.G. Already, this has been the sort of change. Like, Woot was previously on that initiator, swapping with Boo, and now he's playing that more aggressive warrior, which at times I don't necessarily mind, but I don't think he quite, I guess, did it as well as Boo did prior. But Boo did incredibly well on the fade, so it's kind of like a much of a muchness.
Yeah, we definitely saw the Rubble control struggle, where when Boo is in play, that's sort of his staple, and the way he locks that down round after round. Boo, well, he's locking down control over Rubble one way or another. Got himself a long-range kill with the Bulldog.
They have 20 seconds.
Hold on to the control with 20 seconds left. Yeah, Gen.G have no choice now but to go sprinting into the site.
They've got to run it down. Now, luckily, there is only one man actually within the site. If they can isolate that duel, they'd have a chance. A spam from Woot is perfect, but they just have to die now. They just have to die. They don't even have time to actually plant this one. They're just going down with something. This is very, very peculiar and might absolutely destroy...
Yeah, they didn't even pick up the weapon.
Try their money. I guess they did a little bit of extra damage, and they're still going to be able to get in with the light shields, but yeah, definitely one where I think they let that clock go down just a little bit too low, and because of that, there are going to be some pieces missing. Like, Texture can't afford himself a boombot because of that, and can't buy up with the heavy shields either, which versus some of the guns that are on the other side, that could be a fairly big problem.
I think a lot of that round, the philosophy was just to figure out how Heretics are set up and get a feel for how those rotations come into play, but like you said, they just ran that for a little bit too long, and then the clock became their biggest enemy. We're going to see a 2-0 lead for Heretics. Rifles in. Benji Fishy down to 11 HP to start this one off. Gen.G having that full buy. It seems to be that they're set up for the B split. Last time, they broke the alarm bot right off rip, and there was a one-player rotation in, but not much contact outside of that. I think they're going to try the same here with the turret down, make noise on A, and then go through that broken door.
Oh, the timing of the fight. Both players have the information, but with control lost, fighting for this one definitely has a gamble about it. It's seeming like they may end up just going for the retake here on the Heretic side, but with the weaker weaponry, that's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah, this is Gen.G playing off the info they got in the last round. It may not have been an ideal conclusion, but in the early round, they at least felt it out in a way that gets the spike on the ground, gets their opponents on the back foot. Like you said, weaker weapons on the retake, already damage done to players like Benji. It's not going to be easy. There's still so much utility for Gen.G. They didn't expend much. Nade good for Miniboo, though. That keeps it competitive. Rienz does well to trade out, but now the pressure's on because Meteor's hitting everything again. Rienz can't even get out of here. He's stuck in the corner. He's being watched on the way back, and it's Meteor staring him down. That man doesn't miss a shot. Another Gen.G 4K and a round on the board for the attackers.
Yeah, I think either we're going to have to start counting his 4Ks before he gets another ace, just to see if he can actually catch up, because he's already had a few in this series, or we just have to combine the statistics and make one much bigger number, which, because everyone loves big numbers. Either way, it is going to be a buyback. A little bit of extra damage done, so it's not necessarily the end of the world for Heretics, but with the blip that happened in round number 2, maybe would have hoped for a little bit more. Nonetheless, the only ultimate that's relatively close is Meteor. Miniboo's already dead.
Again, we talk about that robo control. It was a struggle for Team Heretics. Okay, 2 HP on Lakia, and he's gone to another spam. That's an unlucky start. But yeah, the robo control hasn't been fantastic, although those spams do recover some of the advantage. Still sitting towards Gen.G, though. It's a big map. Those rotations, not as easy when you've only got 4 players.
Yeah, they're taking their time. Boo holding the tiniest of pixel angles. I can tell you for free that my eyesight isn't that good, but somehow he's able to see absolutely everything. Fallen back off of the nade, paranoia through, but there really isn't much support. It's taken a long time. I don't think they believe this was the real push. It means that the IGL is having to try and hold the line on his own, and it isn't going to go well. Benji, Rienz, gonna have to full retake this one. Benji actually going in a little bit early, and I think he's been spotted.
He has, and you see the ping go down from Munchkin. He knows exactly what's going on. Steps out of the way. Oh, but Benji's aware. He knows there could be a player here. It's all down to timing. Which way is he gonna be looking when the swing comes through, and it's the right way. 2 versus 2. Kept competitive. Turret goes down for the info. Turret goes down indeed right after. That spike taking away. They've decided to play the long game. Reposition up to heaven, take it together. The steps will be heard now, though, and the headshot angle from Karen. Perfect. Meteor, the man who's been finding 4Ks in so many rounds. He's only got 1 kill between him. And that lead taken out of Heretics' hands. The defuse needed all the way, and Meteor sticking close by. 2-2. Now tying it up early on. Gen.G won't let Heretics have much of a lead.
No, and a safe pair of hands. And you can already tell with the way that this map plays out, you have high expectations of late rotations in rounds, because you can very easily split back through the broken door and even make a run all the way back to the C site without too much information being there for Heretics. So they, even though there was a nade put through, there was smokes, there was so much control clearly being fought for by the side of Gen.G, the 2 players on B and C didn't move. So it came down to just, okay, can Boo do a lot of damage? The combo's perfect, but it's the worst player to catch. Just able to TP out of there before the real damage can be done. And again, Miniboo is already knocking on heaven's door.
The Prowler didn't clear it, but Texture did. Woot not going to be happy with that one. He thought he'd managed to thread the needle. He found out the hard way that he didn't. Like you said, Miniboo, 2 HP. The swing from Boo into heavy traffic, only spotted by the 1 player. Flank up by Rienz. If they can slow them down and send them in the other direction, Rienz could have some serious value to find, but it's being watched this whole time. Karen's been staring at it. And well, he got a good sight on that bullet coming straight for his head. Nice clean equalization, but they're pushing up, and 2 HP. Miniboo still gets 1.
He's made things a little bit more costly. We know what they can do with the Sheriffs, and they're probably a little bit wary of their flank at the moment. May want to try and take some extra ground away, and Boo, well, he's got no choice but to fall in, but the utility is perfect. Pinged up, tagged up, caught in position, and it was all too easy for Lakia. Now 1 man standing in the form of Rienz. As I said, he had a quieter first map, but we know what this guy can do, especially if you give him fights, but look at the position of Texture. He's coming up behind him. I think this will be the freest kill ever. Meteor even goes for a swing just to make sure that if there was any contact, there was no way that his teammate doesn't get that kill.
Few big rounds from Meteor, and we've got a lockdown online for Gen.G. But take a look at Heretics when we get it on the screen. They've got a little bit to work with. A Viper's Pit, a Showstopper, a Nightfall. A lot on that defensive side to react around and potentially turn and tip the scales in their favor. But everybody on Gen.G who hasn't got an ult is just one away. Yeah. This is going to be a chaotic round or two ahead of us. And whoever comes ahead in these may well have the wind in their sails.
Yeah, it's the time for our observers to crack their fingers, wipe the sweat off their brow, get ready for all of those ults being put into play at once. But yeah, I don't mind the early pause from Heretics because, again, they've had a couple of opportunities here and there, but the second you allow Gen.G to start steaming into the lead, likes of Meteor just performing to that high standard. He was incredible on the Yoru, but it really does just show the versatility of him as a player. And it's something that brings a lot of value because you look across a lot of maps, and I feel like Gen.G, they have a more standardized comp pool than a lot of other teams. I think Breeze in the past was their sort of exception to that. But it's just because they play off of everything so well. They have so much depth in individual skill, but also in their synergy. And even just look at some of the late round utility. This is why I love players like Lakia that, again, I think was overlooked for quite a while getting back into the tier 1. It's just how solid all of that utility is that the fights that he takes are almost risk-free because the player is already dead.
That's hilarious as well. Yeah, you mentioned in the last one about Meteor on the Duelist, and you're talking here about his versatility. The guy's currently got more kills than the rest of the team added together. And Texture, slow to start.
Won't last long.
But once someone like Texture's activated, this is going to be a completely different game. 1 kill for him, and it will be the Showstopper online. Like we said, everybody on that attacking side either has the ult or is just 1 away. And so fighting for the orb early often makes sense. Texture's trying to get the orb with a kill. Doesn't quite catch Benji, and the orb goes to Munchkin in the end. Viper's Pit, Lockdown, and Nightfall for the attack.
I felt like that was almost a comment of, okay, we're going to give the orb over to Munchkin. He's like, no,
I'll get my own orb. No worries.
I think you can stop me, but not the case. Boo's about to come under some pressure. Util will clear everything but the box. Paranoia set up, and in fact, the lockdown put into play. Don't know if they're going to be able to challenge off this. May want to try and push more aggressively on C, see if they can spam it out, but instead it looks like they're just going to have to give this one up. Now, the defense themselves have a lot of ultimates. Nightfall, Showstopper available, even a counter pit could be in play, and in fact, they've used the Showstopper immediately, just trying to catch in case he was close on the pit. Might have been better to use the Nightfall first, but I guess the success was there anyway.
And then they've sprayed Miniboo after the Showstopper through with an Odin, and the Viper's Pit activated at an inopportune time. Rienz pops his ult and gets shot in the head, and now it's all left onto a man decaying inside a pit. Just like the chances of Heretics in this series as round after round goes to Gen.G. 4-2 in the lead now. That's 4 in a row. And a little bit of deja vu for the Heretics squad as the streak continues.
Yeah, they look so good. Again, look at how many ultimates have just been used for the side of the defense just to try and get this round into competition. I don't mind the Showstopper being used just to try and catch the Viper, like exiting. You're going to fall back immediately just to try and get the integrity of the pit and make sure they have to run through it, but it doesn't connect, and then it's just all falling apart again. Karen, we've seen this fight so many times, but every time there just seems to be a response. Nice work from Boom Woot, though. They're making this one competitive. Karen, we know the performances this guy can have, has some support from Meteor, who has plenty of weaponry to choose from, and on the other side, they haven't found anything yet, just those pistols, and that's going to be their undoing.
Of course, it's Meteor yet again finding these kills, pulling the round back into contention, getting themselves a plant alongside it. Benji now up against 2 with a Marshall on the retake. Really not the weapon that you want for this. And they're both focused on the Heaven play. With an alarm bot covering the walk down below, there is no element of surprise to be found for Benji Fishy. The turret now watches the angle they expect him to come from, and Meteor is going to swing on that turret's contact. For Benji, retrieving a rifle seems to be the best option for him. He has a choice to save it or to commit. There's a nano waiting for him on the door. He's going to lose a lot of his HP and still has to take down 2 players in a timely fashion. The turret now looking to do its own damage and get his own little assist in. 8 bullets, and none of them will at least land the kill shot. Sure, Karen's on 21 HP, but Gen.G are on 5 rounds.
It's just the discipline. Just to hold even when you've lost a few players, like nobody overextending of the remaining 2. And then just the way they played that post plant. They knew that they were ready with that advantage. Didn't need to give Benji Fishy anything. If he has a Sheriff, we already know that he could have turned the round on his head, but just nobody faces him. Nobody gives him an angle that he can fight. Had the turret for contact, the smoke, so he had to run through it. Doesn't know what's on the other side. And then even had the nanos ready in case he tried to run through either angle. It was a perfect post plant that gave him no opportunity. Now though, Odin brought into play. Information Garnet Showstopper used as well.
Well, they know exactly where that Odin is, but they won't be able to root him out of position. Rienz does well to defend him, but with the door open, Boo loses his life. 4 versus 4. Boo's done a little bit of damage, tickled up some of these guys. Meteor, though, sneaking his way right through, up close. Does Benji suspect it? It looks like it. He has an idea, and he strikes just in time, just before Lakia was ready to swing and trade.
Yeah, I think also Lakia just had a little bit of hesitation holding the spike. If he's unable to get that kill, he's going to wait for his team. Minibu as well, this aggression. With the loss of Meteor, it means that the alarm bot was offline, so he can get at this flank. It's not expected at all. Munchkin walking backwards into the angle, but Minibu's looking for a little bit more. Still only going to be the one, but with the lockdown in play, they're both going to have to be forced completely out of the site. Lakia is the only one that can really hope to try and do any damage on the way in, and the counter spam is better.
Yeah, Karen, 1 versus 3, and the spike already being diffused. Catches one on the side angle, but needs to get on that diffuser immediately, and Rienz buys enough time. The kill locking in the round, now 3 for Heretics, and at least we won't see a complete repeat of what happened last time. They've broken the streak of 5 here and now. And look, Gen.G, they're not in a super healthy economic position. A lot of the time you'll see 5 rounds in a row, and a team can buy 2 or 3 times in a row. But remember how many players they lost in just the last, and there's been damage across the board in most rounds.
Yeah, a good round, a solid one for them to win, as you said. The damage is definitely going to make things that little bit easier. We've also seen a lot of ultimates expended by both sides, like the Showstopper dissipating as well. Minibu immediately forced off the angle. We haven't seen a mass amount of fight for this C site. A lot of the time, the control on A being a much bigger part of the game plan. I thought for a moment Munchkin was going to find that. Rienz, though, clearly feeling confident in that fight, knowing there was spam going elsewhere, just went running up and gets the opener for his team.
5 versus 4. Minibu no shields on the site, but he's got Wu with him to help him out in these duels. Doors being opened and closed a number of times. It just keeps spinning around. See if Heretics get out of their way on the B site. There's still 2 stacked up ready, and the spray from Boo is absolutely sublime. Gorgeous stuff. 4 versus 2. And there you go. Meteor, although he finds the 1, there's just too many bodies swinging into play.
5 to 4. They've found their footing. A decent couple of rounds. And as you mentioned, that economy now starts to become a bit of an issue. I think they might still be able to scrape a by with some low shields, or maybe just even juggling rifles around. Maybe there'll be one player here or there that isn't going to be able to get a gun. The question, though, will be, did Gen.G want to gamble it all here? And honestly, with the ultimates that they have online, I think the answer should be yes. You're 1-1 away from a lockdown. Nightfall available. Okay, the other 2 are a little bit further away, but these are ults that can definitely pad the gap. The thing is, though, Heretics aren't just going to sit back. In fact, I was about to say Minibu's doing the opposite. He went running initially, but after not seeing anything, they're going to fall back to try and stack up some control on B. Maybe a bit worried that if they've gone light, they've gone for SMGs, this might be the spot that they hit.
Benji even considering adding a bit more to that defense. Dodge the turret to start with, trying to creep their way around Mound. There's no way to cross that, but maybe we'll see. No, I was thinking we'd see a smoke go down. The idea perhaps being that they'd be wide enough by the time the turret sees any of those players that someone would swing out just to check. Is it one guy far away? Is it? And bang, you take his head clean off. Gen.G, though, go back in the other direction now, and they have successfully dragged rotations. C-site now double stacked up like we saw before, and that leaves A a little bit weaker. But you've still got Boo on the Odin, still has his ultimate to work with too.
That's the bigger thing. With the ult, he can delay a significant amount of time, but it also allows him space to fall back if needs be, and I think it might be. Like with Meteor's lockdown online, I wouldn't be surprised if they use it. In fact, no, they're going to send the Nightfall in instead. An immediate aggressive push coming out from Texture. He might not be able to hear, but he's hoping the same's on the other side. The reveal is perfect coming out from Lakia, but even still, it's only going to be the one. But with the plant in, they're going to use the lockdown. This will buy them even more time.
Gen.G have a foothold. Karen falling below, but he's been spotted. The swing in from Rihan's not good for anything as Lakia lands another, and Meteor's there to back him up, recover the rifle as well, give them a fighting chance up against Benji. He failed in the 1 versus 2 last time. He was ran around the discipline of Gen.G, got it across the line, and we may just see the same again with Meteor swinging on the back and Munchkin on the front. Another round for Gen.G, the attacking side building up quite a lead. And let's not forget their defense was sublime last time they faced.
Yeah, I love the way that they combine ultimates together. Like, they basically force Heretics to rush their retake, and Benji's nowhere in sight. Like, they have to go, or they have to wait. And either way, they're going to be left with so little time left on the clock if they do, that they're forced into a more aggressive take. And when you have weaker weapons or even a piece or two missing, that's exactly what you want. You don't want to allow them that time to use the utility. Gen.G, it looks like they're going to battle for this position again. We've seen the same attempt at seize nades before, but not this time.
Wall dropped to see Texture attempt this fight onto Woot. The problem is the swing up close that could come in. Boo is just tucked, and Miniboo's backing up the fight inside the door. The seize nade absolutely perfect, and Woot, he can't get himself out of there in time. Caught trying to take a fight and at least make his lost life worth it, but Texture, well, we talked about the round where he'd be activated, and it's 3 kills already under his belt. Perhaps it could be the ace, but Meteor's waiting to try and deny that. Benji Fishy facing the glowing gun. The spray is good. He's down to just 1. Plant in on the C site. At least I think so. There we go. And Karen has lots of teammates rotating.
I was say, Benji's not actually that far away, but yeah, it would have had to be a gamble.
He's 20 HP.
That no one else was on that side. Instead, looking like it might just have to be a save. The economy for Heretics is in the bin. And after they finally get themselves back on the board once more, it seems like more of the same. Whatever aggressive take they've attempted, again, I have to give the credit to Lakia. The C's, I was wondering where he was going to place it, but just catches 2 players, forces them into a massively aggressive push because otherwise they're dead to the nade. And it's just like, you're going to force players into an angle that Texture's holding. You're dead. You have to hit some crazy shots, and unfortunately this time it wasn't to be. But I just feel like his utility is nigh on perfect. Like, it really is hard to give too much criticism, and it's one of those things where you look at the depth of this team, not just in like raw firepower where we can talk about Meteor and Texture all day. Like, we could sit here for the next hour and just talk about how many kills those guys are going to get, but the supportive element of utility that comes alongside it, it just makes it so difficult for teams to actually have a fair fight versus those players.
Well, that's exactly it, Tom. You know, they are deadly weapons, and their teammates are very good at pointing them in the right direction, finding exactly where the targets are. The spotters to the snipers. 7-4. Gen.G with a big lead. An expected strong half coming up for them. And Team Heretics, they can't be feeling too great about their chances here. Showstopper activated and fired through just for the space. It's crowd control. Door opens. Miniboo meets a bullet to the head from Meteor. But the trade is there. Keeping it alive with Benji Fishy catching the aggression from Texture. Gen.G don't have any advanced control. That's why Karen goes up inside the smoke. He's got himself a nasty angle, but he is isolated.
I like it trying to hold. Last time he attempted these spams, he got taken out. Karen may just have himself the battle here. The spacing, perfect. The Caesars caught them again. They can't move. They're all in that little back corner. And instead, just playing off angles. Karen with another, just dancing around his own utility, connecting every bullet. We haven't had to talk too much about his individual plays so far today because of the presence of other players, but when he's needed, that's exactly where he arrives. Boo, he doesn't even have the time to get anything done here. Eventually, Lakia's there, while both players will go down, but why would they care? That was the last round.
Man, Karen, the closer, this guy just keeps finding those essential kills. Sure, he's 8 and 9. Might not be the easiest one to hail. The scoreboard Stevens, obviously, pretty much everyone looks at Meteor, but this whole team has so much depth. An unbelievable challenge ahead of Team Heretics. We'll find out how they fare in half number 2.
Oh, come on.
Trade in any phone in any condition guaranteed. And get $800 off the new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
But a pistol is a must. They won the pistol in the last half, and other than that, in buy rounds only managed to win a couple. The sheer force that Gen.G are coming in with, they're looking like a shoo-in for the playoffs already. Nobody surprised by that, but when this group was revealed, 2 of their previous finals being fought versus these foes, and I'll be honest, right now, they're making it look fairly easy. Munchkin, oh, it's almost identical to the last map. Just ready with a snake bite. Going to do some damage as they run in, but not anything too deadly just yet.
The plan secured for Team Heretics. Yeah, let's see if they can have back-to-back pistols. That injection of rounds could help them out. It's actually the only place they found success. The Masters Shanghai Finals. Rien's not able to land it to start with, and Gen.G flooding the site. 3 quick kills leave Boo and Woot locked out in main. The defuse underway, the swing good to start with, and they think that could still be being defused. Got to take the fights. Although now both players have been spotted, both players have been tagged down low as well. Gen.G on the back foot out of nowhere with Texture stepping up, and the headshot for Boo. Low HP on both. It's just a few bullets, and he'll go down to the nade in the end. But a Red Bull clutch nonetheless for the side of Heretics.
Was so close to him falling, and then I don't know if he would have had enough time to defuse it anyway, but just the fact that, again, that individual play coming out to save Heretics, get them a second pistol run, get them a lifeline, and a needed one at that. That first half ended in a fashion of very little to play with, but this is the guy that, when it came down to Shanghai, was an unbelievable performer. Put himself on the map. Bear in mind, when we started off this year, Woot wasn't even eligible to play. Like that, he was too young to even be playing. But no doubt, him and the rest of this team have made a name for themselves. Come back here would prove once again why you can never doubt this young squad, but I think that it's been proven time and time again that Gen.G, once they get into those buy rounds, once they have the utility to play with, are fierce, and they've even put a little bit extra into this round. Obviously, having the plant and the cleanup of players. I'm scared of that, Marshall. I'm kind of hoping for Heretics' sake they don't go that way.
Well, they did smoke him off to start the round, and now his turret's being destroyed as well, so limited opportunity so far for Meteor to land a shot, but now one is presenting itself. Benji's only got the ghost, so he's happy to take some risks, and honestly, looky, the Texture.
I don't think Texture was paying attention. I think he was like, okay, my teammate's got the cross. I could just have a mid-round nap.
Looking at the mini-map or something. Oh, the shot just about evaded by Benji Fishy, and he's on his way to the A site, which is now mostly open. Just one player, just a classic. They've not seen him to start with, and well, looky, he only gets the one. A better weapon there, and that could have been a disaster.
Lucky, of course, has invested into utility, but it seems like he's going to wait the teammates to round that corner. Still a couple of Sheriffs to play with this time. I think for the first time, the Seas is actually going to go amiss for that defensive side, but it's already the read. The Sheriff finds one, gun picked up again. Even just making this costly could be huge, but they found a Guardian now. Time ticking, and 2 for 1 for Munchkin. In fact, Lackey is there as well. Last time out, they at least got the conversion, but Gen.G at the moment just cannot be stopped.
Save the day.
Gonna need that one slowed down a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, slowed down a lot.
That's unbelievable.
Let's go.
For this man to come in like that, swinging wide, pistol in hand. Look at him go.
Oh! It's gotta be infuriating. He only just, I think Woot was crouched and he just stood up. He literally just stood up and got insta double collided. Well, it's a great time for Texture, but it's got to be heartbreaking for the side of Heretics. They're going to invest into a hero rifle on Benji. If any time for a hero to arise, now would be as good as it gets. At least bring back the mental, which has to be shattered at this stage.
Absolutely. Down in the dumps, you'd imagine, for Heretics. Nilzinho talked at halftime about coming back to form. Well, that is quite a journey for this squad now. Lakia manages to find himself the correction and has support from Texture. Blast Pack goes in. Too little too late. No, not too little too late. In fact, with the C's, it gets the job done, but Texture's out in the open, and some of those shots are a bit whiffy. A chance for Team Heretics to fight right back into things. Boo, he's gotten very close, and the swing definitely caught Meteor off guard, but he corrects in time, and the rotate that had come in off of that space now will meet a very well-defended C site. Still the turret watching the cross, although it will be smoked off. Now he'll have to play that contact himself.
I don't think he'll mind. It is Meteor after all. Just waits for the poison orb to go up and then can watch, even making sure that he doesn't overextend. Repositions completely. We'll get there in the end.
What was that you said about not overextending?
He got the job done. Doesn't even matter. Complete reposition. Took some time for a teammate as well. And although it's a little bit of extra damage, it's not going to do anything really to the other side because of them managing to win that second round. 10-5. Double the opponent's score. And a response. Even, I think, just for it to get to a point of confidence, so where you can actually feel like there's a possibility. I want to see Heretics get on this board a lot earlier. I don't think they necessarily have a similar mental strength to some of the other teams in this tournament to come back from a 12.
It's too much to ask from most teams. And, you know, often it's going to depend on your opponents making mistakes. And this is Gen.G we're talking about here.
I think they've got their whiffs out in the last few rounds.
Exactly. Like Neilzinho said, they're going to punish you every time. Showstopper to try to punish back, and Texture is the one finding the kill. Benji Fishy down and out of the round. The lurk no longer there. Now they look just towards the site. A little whiffy for Meteor. A chance with Munchkin though on the backside, dodging the paranoia and landing a headshot. But 10 HP is enough for Woot to stay alive, to look for some headshot angles and to still participate. His smoke up, the one-way already surpassed though. Lakia has dropped down below and he's got support up top. But up goes Woot. The 10 health man still getting the damage done. They're both quite low. And a man like Texture keen to convert. The first shots don't land, but nor to the last. It's Rien's taking it across the line in an essential round for Team Heretics.
Yeah, you've got to bring up Woot. Like, just the fact that he jumps up above, it's a little bit manic. It's very chaotic, but the job is done. They at least get another onto the board. Well, the fact that he's able to isolate Meteor, someone who's been such a threat, gets dinked up and then just going up behind the opponent, even being traded out at the end. It's something, it's a lifeline, it's then back onto the board, but there's still a part of me that's even more terrified about what's coming up for Gen.G, because somehow, at least in the last map where things got a little bit tight, these were the rounds that ended up getting away from them. He predicts where the TP's going as well.
Well, they had to do it themselves enough in that first half, so I think they're familiar with the flow.
Where would you go, Karen? Oh, yeah, cool.
I'll go hold it. Gen.G, advantage in a round like this. Smoke's up as well, trying to steal back that weapon. It's not for free, though. If anything, that smoke gives them the advantage on the side of Heretics in holding it down, but it does mean Boo stays close. Look down at Karen. No paranoia anymore. Won't be able to fight for that all too convincingly.
I wonder if Heretics used a lockdown here. You got a couple of other ultimates that are getting very close. Just to try and make sure that you have the site without too many risks. They've done a lot of damage to Meteor, but obviously that damage is unconfirmed. And I think now, yeah, especially after spotting the rifle on Texture, force him out of position. Meteor's going to try and play the time. Sit in this corner until the very last second, until he has time to strike. He was low, probably would have gone down anyway. But that's going to even things back up, and well, Texture had to wait.
30 seconds left.
Nade is decent. Texture was going down one way or another. Nice shot by Munchkin. Another low HP challenger steps up in the full health. Now down to a sliver, even without the Nightfall. A chance for Gen.G until that Viper's Pit goes up. Now this is going to be very tough, but Rien's for now just on 1 HP. The swing around from Lakia, trying to catch this player. The spray is good. Karen finds him. And now both players back on main, facing off against rifles. Karen getting most of his health back, and then in goes the C's. Make sure that he's not quite so healthy. The spams have to come through. And Lakia suspects that one player will push up close, but it's only to land the nano. And it is activated in time. The defuse denied a little bit longer. Now they have to force the issue and take the fight. They know exactly where Boo is. He has to hold on for survival, and a wall bang headshot. That's what pulls it across the line. Heretics were under pressure. but the reaction is perfect for the Red Bull clutch from Boo.
Another high-impact kill from him, just waiting until the depths. His C slowed them down as well, and I was incredibly worried, especially with the pit from Rians. You're that low on HP, like to be able to maneuver around on that site, it was just such a risk to try and get that into play, to use it in a round like this, but it allowed the teammates to fall back, and while Boo, a maestro of his positioning, a perfectly placed haunt just to give him that kill, and while he only really got one shot to hit that, and he finds it.
It's how annoying Boo was in the early round as well. That rifle that was dropped was defended tooth and nail. This time Gen.G are getting very aggressive very early on. Team Heretics even using a shrouded step to get out of there. Woot was feeling the heat. His full control over Mound was taken by that defensive side. Now they start the rotation. The one-ways will be continuously put up by Karen to keep that position, while the rest of the squad looks to reinforce the A site. You can see that Texture's almost in position. Heretics may just play into their waiting arms.
Okay, Gen.G expects Lakia to be holding the angle. Of course, he did push it just moments ago. Operator going to be juggled away so that you can have that entry taken and the utility to force back. And players is as good as it gets. Not going to be able to fight this one, but either way, probably going to wait to try and work this as a retake. Meteor is also just 1 kill away from a lockdown, so anything he can find just by spams or pre-fires could give them a way in.
Smoke off. Rians is going to have to play through that, but, well, there might not be much left for him to do. It's being cleaned up on the site, and nice and easy. At least that's how they make it look. 10-8. The gap down to 2 already. A better second half than what we saw from the last time these two teams faced. The attack side of Heretics seems to have some legs to it now.
Yeah, no, they're looking good. Like, their initial execution, they knew that Lakia had pushed already because he went and destroyed the turret, so they were very methodical with that initial fight, and then just the utility they had in from afar with the paranoia C's, making sure that nobody could peek in from that heaven angle and cause them any issues. Then it's just those post plants, and that's where you do have high expectations, especially when you have the man advantage. You have everybody on the team at least performing to a decent level. And because of that, Gen.G are going to take themselves a pause. Now, the expectation will be that it's not going to be this round that will end up being the one that this pause is for, as they're only going to have pistols, their economy definitely in a worse position. But they do have so much in terms of their ultimates. So having the Viper's Pit available, lockdown if they need it, one away from a showstopper, there's still potential in a lot of these rounds. And as we've mentioned already, Gen.G have been able to do so much with so little. The Heretics do need to make sure that they're very careful in these sort of rounds.
Well, I look towards someone like Meteor, Tom. It's been a couple of rounds since he's popped off. We've seen him slow down. And one of the main things, it's not the fact that he's not getting kills. It's when I look at the player cam when he's getting shut down, you can see it's starting to affect him. It's starting to get in his head a little bit, perhaps, and you want to see him light back up that scoreboard. This might not be the round for it, though. Lots of light weapons for the side of Gen.G. Pistols and a Stinger, all that they're working with. After that pause, we'll see what their ideas are. Pushing up on Mound hasn't been easy. Taking the control has, but going any further, Boo seems to be there until the last couple seconds.
Yeah, last-minute purchase. I think maybe an attempt. I was going to say at some wallbangs, but it doesn't seem like it. As Munchkin's playing elsewhere, it's going to leave him with problems on the economy again. Okay. It happens again. Wu caught trying to teleport back. A similar scenario to what we've seen before. The spams are going to do so much, but the headshot back through the wall. It just seems like the second these rounds get into weak economy, Gen.G just find miracles.
They have a two-man advantage. And both players, one behind a Viper wall, the other behind a real wall. Nice shot by Mini Boo. And the dodge of the rocket as well. The life traded out for a bit of damage with him on 50 HP, but he has a showstopper of his own. Gen.G still have one towards this C site. Meteor now knows there's contact close. The shot not going to land. Just with the Sheriff. Has to be precise on these peaks, and it's Rians to shut him down. C site control now there for Heretics.
Yeah, it's patience that ends up getting that kill. An advantage given up, but with the weaponry in play, you can understand the risks. It's whether or not there's anything more to find. Lakia's been able to retrieve an Odin, but with low HP, it's not really the weapon of choice. And in fact, Showstopper going to be utilized, but it's more just to try and hold them back. The Snakebite has delayed at least a little bit more, and it gives more time for this Odin to wrap around. It's complete oversight from Miniboo, not paying attention, not ready for the players behind. Luckily, Gen.G has found another. Still decent weaponry now in play. With only pistols starting off this round, there's real potential for them to turn this back. Munchkin, his gun was never spotted, but he can't quite land the final shot. Gen.G will be the last line of defense, and he will keep them now just one away.
Oh, a big round from Gen.G indeed. That triple kill, denying the retake coming in from defender spawn, denying what was beautiful timing by Munchkin as well. He really waited in that corner right until the second that they turned away. They were watching it the whole time. He steps out, he dies. Instead, grabs himself a kill, but it's not quite enough. And the Odin flank from Lakia, not bad. I would take my hat off to it. But the lead still sits with Gen.G, one round ahead, as Team Heretics look again towards Mound for the early control, and that smoke seems to be getting them everything they could possibly want.
Again, this is where the majority of ults sit with Gen.G. Even though Heretics are bringing this close, they might be able to use that just to springboard themselves back into the game. We saw them close out the previous map in close fashion. I know that they can seemingly turn it back on whenever they need it. For now, Heretics going to play things incredibly slow. They've got the Nightfall, so they can go for these sort of late round hits if need be.
Well, it looks like they're going to compete for rubble. Karen's going to have his work cut out for him. Has a shrouded step and an ult to get out of here if needed. Up goes the wall to start. No one following up on the back of it. Here? Viper's Pit used towards the C site.
They are.
To defend it. Good spam. It's doing some damage as Karen's at least able to find himself a way out with the shrouded step, but there's no pressure from Heretics. They're moving in the other direction. They're moving into the pit. This is a big risk.
They use the Nightfall as well. They also don't have Prowlers, so this really is a gamble to try and force this man out. Lockdown's been put into play as well. They know that they're going to have to go in this direction now. The ultimate usage is absolutely perfect, and then they even have themselves the snake bite to slow them even further. This couldn't have been played any better by Gen.G if they tried. And now with 10 seconds left, Miniboo is going to have to fight tooth and nail. Needs to get this plant, tries to bait in his opponent, wins the fight, but I don't think he's got it. I don't think that's going to be close enough. It's going to run out at the last second. A nice attempt by the duelist, but that round was played amazingly by Gen.G.
It absolutely was. There is a split second where you see Munchkin thinking about going back into the pit, and that's when Meteor comes running in and says, no, 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 I'll take the fight. And they're just being decayed and sprayed, easy as can be.
Well, he put a snake bite in there as well, so they were vulnerable. Like every single combination, it was either you try and run back, and you're going to end up going into the lockdown, so you can't go that way. You run forward, you're running into two players. Like it is just, they have basically herded them like sheep. They have sent them to their death. They have been culled. It was just wonderful usage of the ultimates, but they did use a lot.
They did. But even in the early round, before that, when the Nightfall goes through, Lakia, 10 seconds before it started to rotate, and I don't know if it was his call or the call from the team, but he ran back up, he kept spamming, he kept harassing them with the damage, the one-way went. I think they were either going to give up control of Rubble or have Karen stand there solo, and then they realized, no, if we can stall them slightly, maybe they go back the other direction. And if not, it was shrouded step across, play at the broken door, and play the retake. Really beautiful round from Gen.G. They've had a number of ones like that where you can just see the calling, the mid-rounding is leagues ahead. 2-round gap now with 2 more for Gen.G to lock in playoffs.
It's got to be frustrating as well. Miniboo being able to find those 2 kills right towards the end, almost managed to play spoiler for what was a great round. Just, I think, unable to quite plant within the last second. I think even just a tiny bit of hesitation, which
it seemed like
sometimes that's all it takes. It's brutal to talk about, but I think he was genuinely like maybe half a second away from getting that plant down.
It was very close, and it felt, again, I won't say this with confidence, but it definitely looked to me like he had time to plant after the kill, but it's just the reactions, even finding the button that quickly. It ends up costing in the end. The judge up close. This is a risky play from Munchkin, and one that will not meet a reward this time. Advantage to the attackers.
That's a huge early pick. That's already going to force issues for the rest of the team, because you have your plan with deep beat control in mind. It's a risky TP. I guess didn't spot that Rians had already crossed. A few mistakes now being made, and Heretics are going to capitalize on them. What a way to start off this round. Easy early picks. Meteor rotating in. He's going to be the only player anywhere near. Boombot's not going to give his position away. In fact, he's going to play on the edge, just going to try and take a huge gamble, and while Boo is waiting, ready for any such play.
This was a massive round for Team Heretics to win as well. If they lose this one, you can see from the credits, you've got a couple of players who were quite low, and then the kills also even boosted them up slightly. Without that, they would be in trouble. Gen.G would be 12-9, 3 chances to close it, 2 big buy rounds, and most importantly, in the next one, Heretics wouldn't have enough money to confidently buy on every player. Instead, it's 11, presumably to 10, as Texture's going to double blast pack, kill a bunch of people, and defuse in the next couple seconds. So, Gen.G find themselves in the tough spot. Take a look at their credits. They're not sitting pretty at all. And Team Heretics are getting close to a couple of ultimates. Showstopper now just 1 away after Miniboo's round. This may well tip the scales, if not back in Heretics' favor, to even territory.
It seems like they're definitely getting further and further back into this one, even with a blip here and there. The problem is, just like this in the last map, it looked like they were going to climb all the way, turn this game into a victory, and then just Gen.G, it's almost like they realize it gets close, and then they have something to play around. This time, yeah, it's a similar spot. Financially, it's not looking good. Gen.G shouldn't be winning this round, but that's where it seems like Heretics make their mistake. That's where it seems like they trip up and give someone on the other side an opportunity. And, well, let's be real here. We're looking at that rifle on Texture and whether or not he can get something done here for them.
Yeah, you can't really put any pressure on other players. That said, the pistols have done a lot of damage in some of the previous rounds. Very, very slow approach from the attacking side towards C and B, but that's just one man left behind to cover that ground. Now, all they wanted was rubble control in the early round, and they found it pretty much uncontested. The rifle on Mound won't get a chance to strike. In fact, looks like it's going to be Karen and Lakia, a Sheriff and a Classic, that have to hold strong.
We'd have to hope that this shouldn't be too much of an issue for the side of Heretics.
You should run.
Utility being expended. In fact, they're even going to use the lockdown here, and Woot is just waiting. Ooh, paranoia in hand. That's just going to headshot Munchkin straight through. They're expecting someone to be on that other side. The rest of the defense have been completely forced off. I like the fact that Heretics are playing this one incredibly safe. Don't want to give their opponents any sneaky corners, any risky spots that could cause them issues. And now in the post plant, this is going to become a lot tougher.
Yeah, looks like most of the bodies are going to go with the rifle. Woot's up top now, ready to fire back. And the spams in return give away the fact that there's a rifle on the other side. They'll give that some respect. Woot might not. Benji Fishy grabbing himself the kill on mid. Now it's just one angle, or was just one, being held down for Texture. Wants to light up a few players. He won't find a damn thing. In fact, with that kill, Miniboo's got himself a showstopper online for the next. In what is a very important round, someone is going to be pushing up to 12 and have map point under their belt. The ultimates may indicate Team Heretics. We'll see if Miniboo can find the impact.
Well, that's the thing. 6 of the last 7 rounds have gone the way of Heretics now. I think, for the most part, after that first half, we have sort of been waiting for the moment that Gen.G turn it. Round 20 looked like it might be, but no, it seems like Heretics are locking things down at the moment. We're even going to see the Outlaw brought up as an extra purchase and attempt to do some damage on that attack side. And for the defense, well, we've seen them go aggressive B a couple of times. This time they're going to double up. This is a trap setup in case they go towards Mound. This is a scary prospect.
This is what Gen.G need. Something like this big play. The trap, though, has been escaped. Heretics just about make it out in time.
Woot's TV behind.
The rotation from Woot, yeah, he's behind, but he's expected as well. Karen's watching it. It'll be a stalemate for now, but with the players coming up Mound, the crunch is on. And Karen's the one with the pressure. Showstoppers found him, and it's lit him to 4 HP, the lone defender of the C site. And with the orb down, they're not going to be decayed walking through. Karen needs to be sublime, and only the one to be found. It's worth it, trading out his low health. In goes the Nightfall. Meteor and Lakia up close. They're ready to swing out, the timing perfect, but then they look the other way. Woot rounds the corner and takes a kill. Double face that lands a Munchkin 1v3 for the chances to keep this 12th round out of Heretics' hands. And I'm not even thinking that he's going for it at this stage. He's so far away and all alone against 3. Still a Viper's Pit for Heretics though, and that's a scary prospect for a 12-11 scoreline.
Well, yeah, this is now where you have to think, okay, the Heretics, they're great in OTs. They're looking to try and close out the map in the similar fashion to the last with a comeback. And I think many looked at this map as a pretty much a death sentence for them. But even still, they have shown impressive stones, just to almost like keep themselves from getting mentally boomed, even with rounds that slip away. With what, 4 seconds or just about to plant that not goes their way, but this time, even with some aggressive plays, even with some confident moves coming out from Gen.G with a decent trap setup, they're able to escape it and immediately react. And I love the TP coming out of Wu. You can see it immediately put the opposition in doubt of where he could have gone, where he was positioned, and that just made that round so much more difficult.
Yeah, otherwise the 3 players on B probably go sprinting through the spawn, and they'll be there to support Karen, or at least to trade him out afterwards. Instead, they have to be so cautious about just how deep he could be. 12 rounds for Team Heretics. They struggled on the last map, always on the heels of Gen.G, but not able to take the lead out of their hands. And now, well, the shoe's on the other foot. Heretics just one away from guaranteeing themselves a bind and what could be a very competitive close to this series, to this rematch. Not a bit of deja vu from the 1-0 for Gen.G and the fight back from Heretics.
Yeah, they've won 7 of the last 8. And then the one that was won by Gen.G used a lot of ultimates to put them into that position. Right now, they have nothing online. A couple away for Meteor, who had an incredible start to this map. He's still doing well, but has definitely stopped having those high-impact rounds that we've seen from him. And the wait will be to see if this is the moment where somebody on the Gen.G side steps up to the plate. If they have another plan, because that's it, the prior round they had a decent idea, just didn't manage to capitalize off of it when it was put into play. And you can see the credits are just ludicrous. Look, there are 3 operators currently waiting. They're spending all of their extra credits just to try and catch an early pick.
That is a pretty nasty idea. Sees nade, but that gets Karen into position. The spams do go the way of Gen.G here. Those tracers being followed up on. And for Heretics, an immediate stoppage to the play. One of those ops has already been traded out, and I think soon we'll see the same thing happen. But the idea here again is they're making noise on A, they're spamming away, and hopefully on B or C, someone gets curious. But as we can see, that ain't happening. Gen.G have lost a lot of HP on Lakia though, thanks to the Ode.
Yeah, both Fade players getting tagged, and there is the kill. That's the exact kill they were looking for. They're going to have a decent idea as well that Karen is going to be playing this aggressive ground. Snake bite. Not going to be forcing him off this angle. The paranoia, however, will. They're already looking to try and just execute onto him, and he'll survive longer than maybe expected. But even still, the kills have gone the way of Heretics. 2 stand in their way from an impressive comeback on a map that was heavily favored to the reigning Masters champions. Looking to try and take this to a 3rd, but there's still a couple to deal with.
Meteor's had a lot of big rounds, and Munchkin, when he needs to, he can step up to the plate, and he certainly does need to this time. 2 players just around the corner, and he misses them by a hair. Wrapping back around, they're ready and swinging straight into him. Meteor has the info on the first and knows where the other 2 are. The swing is good, he spotted them and heard the shrouded step, heard the second 2. They've split the angle, perhaps offered Meteor a chance to isolate the fight, and he connects the shot. Lockdown now in play, and it's Benji Fishy needing the clutch to keep the dream alive. And Heretics, they've got themselves a 3rd map here. An impressive comeback into Lotus. They've taken Gen.G down, something they couldn't do on Shanghai on this map. And now Bind will be the final battleground.
Yeah, it's going to have to be an impressive comeback from that position they were in. It looked like they were down and out. But somehow, this team once again has dug deep. We head to Bind to decide who makes it to playoffs.
And we got ourselves a match, folks, as Team Heretics manages to force that map 3, digging deep and pulling off the win on Lotus. Welcome back, everyone. As we break everything down, I think Wingman was quite satisfied with that one, too.
I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not satisfied with
Why
that.
not satisfied?
Gen.G
Oh my God.
Gen.G are up 10-5 at some point on that map.
Yeah.
And they managed to take away the follow-up off the back of the pistol round. They were 8-4 in first kill to first deaths on the defense side that they lost. How are you losing that many 5v4 rounds? Like, just way too many opportunities given to Heretics. It felt like Gen.G took their foot off the gas, so they thought they'd won.
Yeah, normally we're priding this team on how clean they are in advantage situations, how good they are at keeping things in control, but this was a complete 180. Credit to Team Heretics. We saw some massive clutch moments from them to stay in this one. Gen.G as well in that second half, 1 for 10 on trying to make these retakes happen. A lot of the time, those are retakes where they were at advantage, and I think we saw some of the fundamentals slipping. Players swinging on their own, a piece of utility missing here or there, and it just continued to snowball to now send us to this third map.
I tell you what, though, seeing Valorant's ring general Boo pop off the way that he's been doing it has been pretty damn awesome. And honestly, it just goes to show that you really cannot sleep on any of these teams. We're champions for a reason here, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, and it's not that anyone was sleeping on Heretics. I don't want to make it feel like I underrated Heretics, but on Lotus specifically,
of course.
That's where Gen.G should have a big advantage.
Yeah.
And for Heretics to be able to overcome that map advantage now makes anything possible in the series. You know, we have no idea what's going to happen on Bind.
Yeah.
It's a great situation to be in with a clash of two top teams, though.
Yeah.
I think what's especially surprising to me is seeing Team Heretics rally back, despite the fact that I feel like this has been a dominant series from Texture on both maps, like you're talking about with those first kills, but also Miniboo isn't really performing up to some of the numbers he was giving in EMEA, and instead, like their last series, they're relying on guys like Rienz, and in both of these first 2 maps, Boo, to step up and deliver these big moments. I think Team Heretics is having to show the depth of talent in their team, and they're rising to that occasion.
But this is exactly what you want, I think. Granted, I understand you want Mini Boo to be putting up those numbers.
But Big Boo can step up too.
Big Boo's got it, you know what I mean? And to see that output from him gives me a lot of hope for this team going into Bind, because you gotta be feeling pretty damn confident in yourself now. You managed to bring this thing back. Gen.G looked like they pretty much had it running away with it. I mean, come on, you got to be feeling pretty damn good now.
There was a lot of frustration from Miniboo on stage. You saw him slamming his desk a couple of times. But what it must feel like, I can't even imagine, to be sat on the stage and know that your big brother's got your back. You know, to just be sat there and just think, this guy that I've grown up with my whole life is there next to me, having an all-star performance coming out from Boo to make up for my deficits. That's
literally someone's messing with you at school, and Big Bro just pulls up and smacks them out of the server, wins the map for you.
Texture was giving flushies to Miniboo. Boo's come over and just beating him up.
Not today. Absolutely love it. Honestly, a credit to Heretics for fighting, really just digging deep, tooth and nail, whatever you want to say to describe it. Look at the way that the series has played out. Both teams have just been slugging at one another, lefts and rights nonstop. But now we take it to the streets of Bind. Now we see who wants it more in this situation. The number 1 seed out of Group A is on the line here. A big matchup, Sideshow. And Heretics have to be feeling pretty solid right now.
Yeah, I think having got past Lotus, this is eminently winnable for them.
Yeah.
They did have a stumble on Bind against FPX, but that was a weird composition from FPX. I think once things go back to more standard between these two teams, that Heretics have showcased that their bind is very strong. I'm not expecting the same slip-up from Boo's calling.
Yeah, the biggest concern I saw in that game was their attacking sides going for a lot of contact plays and getting caught out by the odd positions that FPX had when they were playing the chamber
that was
in the
Yoru
Yeah,
and
Yoru
Neon.
chamber. Weird stuff. Players were in really odd positions. Gen.G play a not quite that standard 100 Thieves comp that most people have picked up, but they play a solo Sky that honestly executes quite similarly. And did you see something?
No, I'm looking at the chat, sorry. I'm looking at
wow.
I'm looking at how much people are favoring Team Heretics after making the comeback there on
I just feel like a bunch of Heretics fans are just preying on Gen.G's downfall.
I mean, they very well could. And I know that this isn't an elimination game. It's a little looser, right?
True,
but
true.
if you lose this match, you're going to be going up against one of Sentinels or FPX. Either of those teams, whoever wins it, is going to already have proved that they have the quality to potentially upset one of these giants of 2024. And they cannot afford to take that risk.
And even if you make it out, you're playing against another one of these groups' #1 seeds, and there are some dangerous teams that you don't want to face in your first round of the playoffs. This is a super important match.
Oh my.
And that comp,
What was that comp?
I saw a Yoru on there.
I saw Yoru.
Yoru, I think, was it Gecko Sky?
I believe
or was
so.
it Solo Sky? Dude, whatever it was.
There was a Gecko for sure.
Okay, that is a weird... You know, I was just talking about, oh no, I think once things get more to standard Valorant, Boo's calling on mine, it'll be fine.
And there it is, in its full. Team Heretics are playing Astra Viper. Okay, so they have the Sky Gecko combo. That'll play fairly similarly to a lot of the comps on this map, but the Yoru adds something interesting in there. You can have different executes, teleporting into your Astra utility, fake outs through those teleporters, that kind of stuff.
I think getting into A, smoke Heaven, get into the smoke on Heaven with the gate crash, that kind of thing, where you're under the smoke. But also, XX on B look tough with this combo.
Yeah, you can't dive out of hookah like you normally would with the Rays.
Yeah, that looks difficult. Gen.G, Munchkin has been fantastic against dealing against compositions like this.
Yeah.
So I don't think the same idea of new comp always wins is going to carry through.
Well, let's see if this composition is what Heretics need to get them over the line, or will Gen.G shut it down here and now? Let's send it back over to Mitch and Tom.
Well, Tom, we were going to be robbed if we didn't get a third map out of this, and Heretics fought hard for it, but who takes it here is anyone's guess. They struggled up against FPX, and Gen.G facing against the new comp. You heard it from Sideshell. Something that Munchkin's done well at in the past is dealing with comps like this. How do you feel this is going to set Heretics up for the final map of the series?
I don't mind it. It feels like they've combined some of the old ideas with a few new ones. They've run stuff with Yoru in the past, and I think it's an agent that Miniboo enjoys and is comfortable on. I also think switching back to the Astra, Boo just looks good on Astra. I think over the brim, like he's so good in those post plants and kicking it off on the attack. I think that's what they're going to be going for.
Well, it's all about setting the pace. Double traps waiting for them as they step out into the A site. Although already they're bypassing them, moving around the back through lamps to try to fight right onto Munchkin. The flash, the first one wasn't so good, but the second was beautiful. Now Texture left on the off angle to try to catch them. Can't punish on the player caught by the trap, but does deny the spike plant. But the nade buys a little bit more time, but it's going to be tough to capitalize through that smoke.
It's now patience for Heretics. They don't need to overextend. They don't need to take too much of a risk. They've still got plenty of time to play with and are sort of hoping that there is more of an extension on the other side. I think they're also waiting for Boo to try and get into position. But in the meantime, look at the pop flash. It's going to be coming straight through their smoke already. A couple, but Rians responds immediately and even adds one more to the pile. And Karen, he just about manages to get the kill onto Miniboo, but there's still 2 remaining, and it's Rians once again. Another 4K to add to the collection, and Heretics with another pistol round.
Yeah, this time it's Gen.G on the receiving end of that 4K. 1-0 to start this off for Heretics. Picking up the pistol, grabbing themselves a decent buy, follow-up on what should be a 2-0 lead. They managed to avoid a lot of the dangers there. We talked about the traps that were in play, and by the time that they actually took the fight, because they had gone around the back and dealt with Munchkin, there was nobody really to follow up on it. So at least able to grab themselves a plant, or at least they thought so. It was denied, but the pumping of the brakes very nearly didn't work. Thanks to Rians, they got it across the line. Now just classics for the most part. You only look to Texture with a Sheriff, and he's on the other side of the map to the majority of the Heretics squad, just grabbing the orb early.
Yeah, you can see though, it's again, you're going to have Benji on these lurks. Him with a Sheriff is always deadly, and just going to try and spot out the info. It seems like he's going to get contact. Through they go, and well, down they go. They may have been able to play 2v1, and he may have only had a pistol, but I honestly think it's his best weapon. This now leaves a gap. And Heretics, it's not like they're down to 30 seconds. They don't need to use this as an execution point. They are just going to wait and allow those rotations to come in from Gen.G. With no information found by Lakia, I can fairly safely gamble that this is going to be A.
Benji Fishy with a Sheriff on A short bind. Always manages to
where he got his first ace, right?
It was indeed. It's exactly what I'm talking about. The guy was he was cracked in that moment, and just here you get a little glimpse of it. Won't be the ace. It's already been denied. Meteor and Lakia, last two, and you can see that they're not looking to run on in and give some free orbs away and free kills instead. Just waiting around to die to the spike and maybe get a kill if someone's caught off guard.
They're trying to set up Rians. That was what the flash is for. He's one off getting the thrash. So actually not giving an orb away here is going to be pretty impactful. Even if it's killing him, that's not actually going to help too much. And while killing Rians at the moment when he has a ghost in hand seems a little bit troublesome. Thrash now available for Heretics. And bear in mind they bought 3 rifles, couple of pistols. They're now going to invest back in and have a really strong buy going into round number 3.
Correction. Third time's the charm on both of those sprays. Got it with the last shot in the chamber. 2-0 for Team Heretics, and like you said, Tom, Thrash is online for Rian's, an impressive pistol round. He's a Gecko, so he's planting. And with that, they're set up nicely.
It's whether or not they're going to almost immediately execute here. You can see 3 players ready over on that A side of the map. Lots of utility to be combined. Still got the trip setups, and they've got themselves the nade, which will go in immediately, doing a fair amount of damage, but also denying that thrash. Further push from Meteor, in fact. He's going to step up with 2. A great start to this round, but there was a response.
Yeah. 2 players down for Heretics. Although they got Meteor, they still have so much ground to cover. Just take a look at how many players are waiting on this A site. The rotate through the TP won't be for free. Karen goes looking, and he certainly finds, with Boot down, the spike. A couple of flashes that are usually online, but Woot's already burned his, and Rian's, I assume, didn't get the Dizzy back. They're going to go straight through. Lakia almost caught off guard. That door opens just a second too late. Now, in goes the Thrash. Second time. See what ground it can find. Nothing broken. Just in time, and Lakia, well, with that, seems to have secured the round. A firing squad arrives just in time to lock this one down.
Yeah, it does feel almost funny, like watching a map with Lakia, Sky, Bind. Like, it just gives you flashbacks to the only map he was allowed to play when back in the day. But there's a reason that they brought him in for that map. There's a reason that he was always so good at it. And it was just that, again, he has a safe pair of hands in moments where players might overextend, go for the glory, try and find yourself a moment. He's not going to do that. He wants to make sure that while there's a gamble stack, while there's players on one site, the other site isn't just going to be given up for free. And especially with the changes that happen to Sky, you need to be so much smarter with the way you use your flashes for information. Already? Jiggle peaks. Again, like in the past, you might have used your flashes early in the round, but that information found in other ways. A judge in play. And of course, the last being a bonus round, there's still plenty of finances to invest back into for Heretics.
Yeah, of course. They're still able to get that buy up. Rifles for the full part. I like the fact that they're spread at the start of this round. Starting to expect that Gen.G are going to get aggressive across the map once they feign out that control. Although, one of the main things we'll say about Gen.G is just how patient they are. Even in the last round, Karen, I think that's just as aggressive an early stance as you'll see in most rounds, just going in to re-clear an angle. Meteor is stuck up close, and the cam almost serves as a bait in the early round. If someone goes to break it, he's swinging in to take them down, but that's not the case. Heretics eventually will have to take a gamble. 40 seconds left, and it's time to make a call on where we're going. I think the TP to a B split.
They're trying to find the trip. That's the bigger issue. They want to go through, but they can't find it. They can't break it. So it's still there. And it's just being waited for contact. Finally, there is that split you were talking about, but they're heading straight into the judge. Karen up close, waiting. First is easy, and now they have to go. There's only 17 seconds left, and they're all just falling to this judge. He's going to take them all. That's the spike down as well. If they're going to go for this, they need to sprint to try and retrieve it. And with the Molotov down, there just is not enough time. The judge, and it pains me to say it, is going to win the round for the side of Gen.G, and even escaping from Karen seems difficult.
Yeah, the only thing that does escape Karen is the ace, as per usual for the side of Gen.G. They won't be finding 5, but I think they'll be happy enough with that performance. The weakest weapon bought up, and the one that finds all the results. This is, I mean, this is a danger of going blind into a site so late. They pumped the brakes for the entirety of the round, Tom, waiting for aggression, waiting for a mistake to be made, and in the end, that was their mistake, because Gen.G are a patient squad and one that's happy to sit back and let you play yourself.
It's like you have a composition that has 3 different players with flashes, and you're walking dry into hookah. Like it just seems like an unnecessary risk. Already, though, okay. Woot wanted to try and take a leaf out of Talon's book and just run it straight down for those early fights. And well, hey, it's come out in their favor. Orbital Strike thought about. Benji's also taken a lot of control. Now, this is a much weaker purchase in this round for Heretics. They lost one of the guns early on, but they've come out in a good spot.
Oh, Benji's on the wrap. He's right behind him. Karen,
also look at Boo,
barely evading that sight line, waiting for a player to come up through mid, and instead it's Gen.G rapping on him that gets the kill. Boo, exact same as last map. I said he was just harassing them by constantly waiting on angles they weren't expecting and stopping them from being able to get aggressive. Well, he does the same here, able to support from across the map using his stars, and then able to even grab a kill and light Munchkin down to 60. This one looks to be sealed in for Team Heretics, and the question that remains is whether or not Munchkin can carry this weapon forward. Got a little bit of cash in the bank, but this weapon may help them out.
Yeah, I think that is the difference with that Brimstone. Is okay, you have a decent range, but just the global utility, it means Boo can play anywhere on the map. And you saw the attempted rotation. Like, this was a weaker buy where a lot of players initially rush showers, and you even had a player sneaking his way through mid. The expectation is, okay, if there is a lurk, they're probably a little bit further back, wanting to play that utility. Instead, he had pushed quite far into the position of B short, and when they went through long and cleared everything out, he just had one little rat spot that was enough to catch them off guard. A big round for the side of Heretics, winning with low economy, and it's not going to obliterate everything for Gen.G. In fact, they're actually going to go back in with an operator here. I think Texture wants to challenge if they try that again.
Oh, it makes sense, yeah. At this point,
he almost didn't get the timing.
At this point, for the defensive side, I think that we talk about their aggression and how limited it often is. You're going to have a couple of rounds where they're going to swing out like crazy, but patience definitely the name of the game more often than not for Gen.G. Now they can have that middle ground. You're not quite entering, you're not quite pushing up as that duelist. Instead, you're sitting back. There's no up that ends up when the barriers go up. It's all the rifles to work with.
Look at the immediate denial. They even shot the fake out this time because they were so worried about what happened in the previous round. Still, that control is going to be taken, and more importantly, the dimensional drift is going to be online. This is the one major factor with this Yoru that plays such a huge part. It's just the space and angles that you're able to clear. And the question will be, is how did Gen.G react to this now?
Well, they need to break the camp. They're hearing it activated here and there inside of A, and well, now it's only the man operating the camera that's left alive. Miniboo pushing up, is ignoring it completely. He sat on the corner waiting for the re-aggression. A smart play, misses the shot to start, but he gets there in the end. And now, well, they know they've got all the space to work with. The plant's underway. The control is most definitely locked in for Heretics. Gen.G may just want to save these weapons at this point.
Yeah, I like the fact as well that even in the late round, they're using that thrash just to make sure that this round is converted. Because we've seen it many a time where they walk into the traps that have been placed down by Meteor and end up falling victim. But again, the thing is, Gen.G's response when they see that dimensional drift online is not a bad one. They go, okay, you've got that ultimate, you have Thrash. If we sit back and allow you to use an ult that can clear all of us, and then another one that can stick us in spot, we are screwed for the round. So they go, okay, we have to get aggressive, we have to take some control, and Heretics are just waiting. They had the sort of counter thought, the counter process. Now, they're going to try and take some of these weapons away, but I think the likelihood seems fairly slim, unless they're going to go full sprinting into hookah. Well, actually, never mind. Lackey is actually caught right at the end of the round.
A big blow And an early lead now for Team Heretics. We went 2-2, back and forth. This is their chance to extend it even further with Gen.G losing that weapon. They'll have very little to work with in terms of rifles. And it all comes down to that big crunch on short. Just a massive fight, a firefight that goes the other way. Meteor had an opportunity here, but he's not landing it. And for that, I think looking at the individuals, Heretics have come in activated. Rien's most certainly has. Yeah. And we need to see the same thing from Gen.G, albeit not in this round. Again, 2 rifles.
You're saying?
Sure.
You're saying?
Okay, well, I'll take that one right back. There's some weapons to be retrieved. There's a showstopper in play. And Woot's gone before the rocket lands.
Oh, Lakia needs to get out. As said, a lot of the time he's a safe pair of hands. That was a way back into the round if he falls, but instead, that early aggression from Texture, you always know that at any stage this man can be a danger. And the hero rifle he had has done just that. Even the support of Karam from behind. And now they just fall back. Even using the Seekers, it's not the worst ult to expend in a moment like this, just to make sure that you haven't lost too much ground in a certain position, or maybe even wary that they're about to make the hit onto long. Instead, though, Hookah is the play, and with a defensive smoke in position, I don't know if they're going to try and risk it and jump out. It seems like they are going to try and potentially make a move around it, but you can see Lakia is honed in, ready and waiting.
He has trouble, though. Never mind. Munchkin comes out along at just the right moment. The other players were out retrieving weapons, and they've done just that. Everybody now stocked up with free upgrades. What a round from Gen.G.
Yeah, the start of it is already just absurd. Dodging the flash and then just, again, this is why you put this man in the bracket of best duelist in the world. He really does just take rounds into his own hands. And after what has been a quieter start, like they have 1 kill before that point, but at any moment, that can be where Texture takes over. And then again, just falling back into those passive positions off the advantages that have been had. Instead, early information fought for. An immediate use of the ultimate, but Karen's going to ignore it. Just try and deny anybody else from pressuring.
They know exactly where he wants to go. Secondary location chosen. Miniboo out of the ult and catching Karen on the fallback. Flash around the left side. Meteor's done well to keep this one competitive. His 3rd already under his belt and still challenged the 4th and denied the 5th. It's Woot keeping it alive for Team Heretics. Has to go and retrieve that spike. And then the world is his oyster. Only Munchkin between him and a round victory.
Yeah, the thing is he has a lot of time to play with. A minute on the clock. He's going to use the TP to immediately rotate, but he's definitely worried about the potential of his opponent already being there. Munchkin stood in a spot where it didn't matter where the plant went in. He would have the knowledge. Oh, Woot's actually just going to look to fight him. Get right up in his face. Go for that final shot! And it is perfect. Lands the final bullet around the Meteor. Well, he gave everything for, but everything wasn't enough.
Not this time. 4 kills. And well, like we said, Team Heretics came in, warmed up, ready to go. Certainly seems like we had a bit of an activation from Meteor with this. Good positioning around the back. I didn't even see, got the info so quickly on the second player up close. It wasn't quite enough. A big round for Heretics as they defend their lead 5-3. And we're going to see a Viper's Pit online for Gen.G Fishy. Karen, he's toyed with the idea of putting that orbital strike down a number of times, but never quite pulled the trigger.
Oh, the pacing looks a fair bit quicker this time. Hookah control taken immediately. It's a position they have problems with. Lakia's going to remove Boo. Some of that late round utility already gone. Also, a player that has been their lurker. It might even bait the defensive players on the other side of the map. And in fact, they're actually going to try and use the pit to get out. The counter spam. It's perfect. In fact, Rians has found 2 through the wall. It's got to be frustrating if you're on the other side. Still Meteor's here. He managed 4 in the last round. This time that would be enough, but he's going to be decayed all the way down, and that will be enough for Gen.G to clear him.
Could have been either player that he took down. If it was the Viper, perhaps they'd be in with a chance. Instead, well, maybe again, Karen's going to toy with the idea of the orbital strike straight through the smoke and the wall. Gen.G couldn't find a safe space to hide, and now they really need to be careful. Orbital strike in play. Both players trapped. Gate crash available. Used, but Karen, after the time, grabs the kill onto Woot. But it was traded out just a little bit too early.
It's just Woot. They both just go for the fight. Like for Woot, it's understandable. He is screwed. Like he used to have to run forward, running back, he's dead. For his teammate, they both go for the fight, and it's just that he lands that bullet quicker than the orbital strike can kill him. That's insane. This whole round was insane. 2 through the wall, then this kill through the wall, which removes the pit, and then literally that shot is the difference. If he goes down even a split second sooner.
I thought we lost.
Yeah.
I thought we lost.
Can't even believe it themselves. 6-3. A guaranteed equal half for Heretics. And you can understand now while that pause has been taken. There's been some deadly close rounds for Gen.G, but Heretics, they've been building. They lost that first map, their own choice. Many, including myself, thought this could be over. They win the second map in incredibly close fashion with a great comeback from an 8-4 deficit. Now, well, it seems like all the pieces are aligning at the right time, and you can understand why on the other side of things, coaching staff, some elite level coaching staff are going to look to try and slow things down.
Well, this is the problem, Tom. You know, again, we've said this a number of times, but the hardest losses are the ones that are that close. And I think what's more devastating about it is you can look at Heretics. They had the same situation in map 1. But for Gen.G, it's not just a map. That was the series within their grasp. Just rounds away from taking it, guaranteeing playoffs, not having to go to the lower, getting to go to lunch early. But instead, it's Team Heretics now, double the scoreline of what Gen.G have brought to the table, and that has to have some emotional weight. The coaching staff have had their time to discuss, and we're going to see a stalemate in the early round as, again, Team Heretics pump the brakes and wait for Gen.G to make a move. That's just not happening.
I think the scary thing as well is who's already in that lower bracket. Sentinels, a Masters winner with the opportunity to watch this game, watch every single round, try and pick it apart. And FPX, who, well, they've already shown Heretics that they can go toe-to-toe and even come out with some wacky compositions that can throw you off completely. They beat them on this map. Here we go, though. Thrash already used the TP even while blind, double blinded. Doesn't even matter. That's Miniboo gone, and they might have to pump the brakes. No, they're continuing this push right into the hands of Munchkin. He's going to try and retreat, and Lackey has gone down elsewhere. In fact, everybody's falling.
It's a wave of red for the attacking side as Benji Fishy grabs the shot to the back of Munchkin's head, and Boo, he's so annoying to play against. They're not even clearing it. No! Boo! The disrespect is surreal! 7 on the board for Heretics, and well, if the last couple rounds didn't tilt you, I think that one might get you.
Is that the first knife with the Champions blade? No, I can't. If there is another one, it's escaping me, but
there was just no need, Boo.
There you go. He's going to enjoy that one, and of course, it's got to be frustrating. Either way, 7-3. Heretics proving once again why they're always a team to fear. Gen.G, favored by us, favored by the desk, favored by anybody who has seen them play over the last few months. You'd have to be a little bit mad not to see the level of this team, but right now, while we haven't seen a lot of them over the last few rounds, Ultimate's still there, but if anything, the Viper's Pit can easily be countered by that Dimensional Drift. In fact, it's going to be used early, looking to just try and clear things out.
Well, he's got some space, but he's forced straight into a fight, surrounded and dropped by Karen. Meteor up close, finally manages that opening with Woot down, but Karen and Lakia fall right after. Now the pressure on for Texture, his teammate on the other side of the map, and he will quickly be dealt with. Team Heretics, it was a little bit shaky to start, but they pulled those kills right back, and now Munchkin has to do this 1v2 all alone.
Yeah, the pit not going to be useful here. Unless he wants to try and walk back into the site, but likely won't give him anything. And Benji's already rapping. He's just going for it. He's just going to take the fight alone. You can see the confidence from this Heretics side is off the charts at the moment.
Round in the half.
And the big round from Gen.G. I think he was the one that traded back those 2 kills that ultimately looked like it was going to be a problem. Yeah, quick reactions.
1 enemy remaining.
And now 8-3 in the lead. 6 of the last 7 have gone their way, and well, we are seeing uncharacteristic performances. Texture, I think a couple of his kills came in a singular round. Lakia has gone and missed. They've been able to isolate him. As I said, normally a very safe pair of hands when it comes to that B side. They have pressured him.
Whoops. You know,
who needs it anyway?
Yeah, just move it. One of the more surprising things here, Tom, is up against FPX. Obviously, Heretics struggled. They got 4 rounds on their attack. They couldn't string a single round together. And here, up against Gen.G, of all teams, they've made that recovery. The work they've done is
more
clear.
impressive, the adaptations. Like, they changed their composition, and I think it was for the exact reason you're talking about. Bring in a multitude of flashes, a multitude of information, force players into awkward battles. The dimensional drift of Miniboo, it can basically floor all of the issues that they were having. And the times they did run into awkward things, you could see they didn't do it again. Now, pressure on again, Munchkin. He's going to put that snake bite down to try and slow them, but it hasn't slowed them much.
Viper's Pit. Oh, Munchkin corrects in time, but he still falls, as does the Pit, leaving Meteor with sight on Gen.G. A clean kill, and the advantage now towards the defensive side. Spike recovered, and Team Heretics have to think about taking this somewhere else. And Meteor still floating around, grabbing all these kills. One safe haven for them to plant, or so they thought. The Molly forces him out of the round, that is. It's only Rien's 1 against 4. He has to do it all by himself. The whole squad bearing down upon him. They'll at least have a light at the end of the tunnel on Gen.G. Finding a round at the end of the half. 8-4, though, a strong lead for Heretics moving into the next.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was same in the last map, but Heretics have already proven that with either of these teams, there's always going to be potential for the comeback. So giving that little lease of life. We'll see if Gen.G can do the same after the break.
1 enemy remaining.
And if you're not careful, you'll get destroyed.
Yeah, if you're not careful, he'll be finding them. Team Heretics, well, they clearly have done some reading into this and assume it's a B hit, but it is most certainly not. Gen.G walking straight into the A site, and only one man, the snake in the grass, the man who got a knife kill, but won't quite be able to stab them in the back this time. Texture falls as a result of the damage done, though. And we're back to equal territory.
Hey, don't see Tiger kills too often nowadays, but even still, that's a big one. Puts things even. There's going to be a flank fight as well. That battle could be what ends up deciding it, although considering the plant, it's going to be difficult for them to get back in. Lakia already eliminating Gen.G, another one for Munchkin as well, and this is looking clean. Left on to Miniboo, and he's not even going to get one. A good round from Gen.G to kick off this second half. But let's be real, Mitch, it was needed.
It really was. Otherwise, home stretch was within sight of Team Heretics. Instead, we're going to be getting back to close territory. At least you'd imagine that. But Gen.G forcing their opponents down to an eco in the next. The Tiger kill, yeah, really is a rarity around these parts, especially in a pistol round. That's worked out this time. And Munchkin, well, he got 2 kills there, only 1 counted. The wingman extermination. 3-round gap between the two. And like you said, Tom, Gen.G are no slouches. This isn't a team that's going to sit back and look at the scoreline and think, it's over and done with. They've been here before. They've made it work. But a high-stakes game with playoffs on the line, that's going to have them locked in. And right now, locked into the B site. Traps and camera left behind to cover A aggro, as they will take space slowly but surely towards B. Only danger is if they do go to hookah. There's a big trap play with a Yoru already inside the teleporter, has a gate crash to fall back if he needs, and 2 players stacked up close, ready for the duel.
I think looking at this, overall, there's not a lot of expectation, but somehow these pistols once again are doing damage. Meteor, Karen, at least making this one. back to an even scenario. None of the weaponry's been retrieved. Miniboo doesn't quite manage to get anything done. Looks like they've rectified what was a dangerous start. Boo's still standing. And he's going to find the timing. The pistol shot's just not connecting, and that might be the chance gone. It's going to come down to Woot making a play, and with the knowledge of where Boo remains, I feel like the chances are slim. 5 bullets. Doesn't even have enough to kill off every single player. But there is another gun down on the deck. I think the expectations have to be minimal. And for Heretics, you have to look at every missed chance. Every opportunity that slips away from them. They're looking at a potential repeat matchup versus FPX, which if you've ever seen a Heretics FPX game, it comes down to the absolute wire. It will be the closest games you're ever going to see. And the other team, if Sentinels are to make it through, well, they're the ones that beat them, or one of the teams that beat them in the first Masters. So I don't think Heretics are going to want to face either of those teams particularly. For Gen.G, well, a rematch versus Sentinels probably isn't going to be the most fun thing in the world, but they have proven that at least the first time out, they were very clean.
But you know what I always say, Tom?
Go on.
I'm nervous now. I'm nervous now. It's always harder to beat a team the second time round, and, well, for Gen.G, maybe they're finding that out here.
Oh, you didn't say that last time.
No, it was a little different last time. I've modified it now, slightly. But yeah, for Gen.G, this position, 8-6, last round, big one from Meteor. The fact that he goes late through hookah where the trap play was, but those players had already been pulled to sight by the hyper-aggression down B long. He catches a kill on sight. They get the information that Miniboo had come up behind, that he had come out of the teleporter and was now in hookah. And so he adjusts and grabs that kill too. Got rid of 2 big dangers from the round. This time there's a bunch of dangers with everybody on Heretics having rifles and a very passive play from that defensive side. Gate crash, I presume, is going to be used here for the rotation. There it is, already put out to the B site. And A will be stacked up with 3, just as Gen.G look to push it.
But this is the thing, when you have that Gecko Sky combo, you can use your flashes for info. This is what we talked about though. Texture being set up, Boo dodges the flash, gets the opener for himself, removing the danger man, or at least one of them. And actually, Lackey has now gone down as well. This is starting to look pretty problematic. This bonus round had a lot invested into it. Maybe even leaving Munchkin with less desirable economy for the next round if they don't manage to find a little bit more here. Wanting to at least get a bit of damage done. He's fighting tooth and nail. One of his last bullets before the reload. Karen has actually found another. This comes back into a competitive position as he'll keep it in a 2 versus 2.
Such smart play. He knew he was being baited by the player further back and just kept falling back, retreating and taking the fight. Guerrilla warfare, and it's worked out. Gen.G with another on Meteor, and now Rians has to do it all. This round was looking so heavily favored, and instead, they are massively on the back foot with the defuse underway though. Here comes the swing, a necessary one, stopping the defuse. But still plenty of time left to bring it across the line. Massive clutch, Red Bull clutch in fact, for Rians.
He has been lights out in this game so far, but that seemed like an impossibility. Like, helped out massively by the wingman. There was 0% chance I think he wins that otherwise because they are split across from each other. It should be the perfect crossfire, but I think it's almost the fact that Meteor ends up swinging first, both having deeper angles, and because of that, there's no immediate response for the trade. The main thing, though, is Rian's read. The fact that he works out where both of those players are, that's what wins the round. And while Heretics, I thought they were about to lose a 3v5, if not for a hero.
Yeah, I think he might have seen Karen, and he knew Meteor got the kill, heard him running away, so at that point, pop up the flash, no one gets hit. All right, time to put the wingman down. Perfect thinking process, and the perfect agent in that position. Anyone else, and I agree with you, that one is done. Texture, out looking for an opening duel, just pixels away from swinging straight into the angle with Miniboo, and that is a definitive fight if we end up seeing it. Miniboo now getting aggressive. Up in the corner, Woot goes to spot out. They thought that, hey, it was a little bit more clear, but little did they know, danger was lurking around every corner. The gate crash used to get out of there, so no punish onto Miniboo. But Gen.G still have their sights set on that side of the map.
They're going to have to reclear everything, though. Tiger being used just to remove any doubt. Benji's aggression is punished, but there, again, is an immediate trade. Thrash is available if Rians wants to use it, but finding a safe spot is going to be more important, and it might even be worth just holding onto it for the retake. Information will be found, and with the orbital strike, they could look to try and lock off some of these spots. Instead, he's going to be caught in it, but he goes swinging instead. Texture deals with him, and the second as well. No trade to be had. The nade will deny any repeat, and an afterplant guaranteed.
Does a lot of damage too. Wood's down to 70 at this point. What a phenomenal read by Texture. He knows exactly where that second player is going to swing in from and corrects to it before he even gets to the angle. Absolutely unbelievable gameplay. And for Heretics, now they're okay, being punished for absolutely everything. I think Woot missed one bullet. Straight to the head he goes. What an adjustment from Meteor. And double digits denied for now. 9-7 for Gen.G, with Miniboo saving this weapon on the other side of the map. I was going to say attempting to, but it looks like he's got away scot-free.
That's the bigger problem, though. It's just that economically, the last round has basically made this as hard of a reset as you're ever going to get. Yep. You survive with one player standing in a clutch, everybody else goes down, and now you've lost with 4 players on the other side. This is going to be a huge boost for Gen.G, because realistically, the investment from Heretics should be fairly minimal. If you're going to gamble this, I think that that's a risk way too far. And even going for like sheriffs and stuff is going to put the economy on a much lower position.
Early adjustment is just so clean. Takes the first immediately. Yeah, you're going to swing from there, aren't you? And lands the shot seconds later. 9-7. Low buy for Team Heretics. A pistol to start out this half may have sent Heretics straight to playoffs. It would have been a very much an uphill battle for Gen.G, and instead they're close to being on equal footing with this squad. Texture's nade, it's going to cause some problems. Woot will be tagged a little bit, I believe, in that corner. Lackey has been dropped in the meantime, though. That's the one rifle that Team Heretics have. Now spotted, shown to be towards this position. They deal with him. They might not even need to. They can just go for the plant.
Counter utility almost baiting them into a fight. They're going to go swinging. Woot's found that kill as well. Another 3v5 attempt. As they've lost the early blood. Flash out, another one. In fact, they're looking to try and fight this. Benji's now found another. This is all falling apart for Gen.G. In fact, they're not getting anything. It's left all onto Munchkin. It'll be the MasterCard Thrifty. I don't know how they've taken that round. It said they barely had anything.
No, they didn't. And Miniboo finds 3, but it's the fact that you have Woot finding the kill up close, landing that sheriff shot, a rifle right in front of him, behind a box. It's a free upgrade, and now everyone can go swinging, because you've got 2 rifles to work around. It's this one. That shot, free rifle, free ability to swing this one as a team, and Miniboo hits his shots every single time.
I like as well, again, what this composition allows is for so many flashes for information, flashes to slow them down, and then you can double pop flash almost everything because you have so much to play with. You can even then combine that with stuns or grav wells. There's just so much utility that disrupts everything that's Gen.G's doing. Now their own economy is on the brink. Woot is about to get aggressive, looking for a fight. He's going to find one. The trade will be there, though, but there's a second player for Heretics as well.
And that Spike sat alone now outside of A. Meteor finds a bit of ground, but only the one to be landed before Rienz is able to trade back. He's been locking down control of B long. There's next to nothing that anybody can do to seize back a position there. And just a split second away from seeing that player. Texture knows there's someone close by. And a TP from Miniboo! Cerebral play! He snuck the gate crash past him. And the balls to go for that. Unbelievable.
Dude, in a 3v2, that's mental. Like, you could have easily just thrown the round away, but again, it seems like when this Heretics roster gets more and more confident, they go for these scarier plays. It almost feels like they got beaten by Lunacy and then decided, you know what, I want a piece of that. I want to throw that back in Gen.G's face. Meteor. Well, I think he knows that's not real. It's not selling anything, and while at this stage of the round, 15 seconds, he's just looking to save. That's all the goal is. To try and keep the gun through, but there's 1,000,001 angles that he has to check just for his own safety. And on the side of Heretics, they are more than happy just to convert this round and keep their economy nice and strong. They're going to hit themselves towards 11, and I wonder if Gen.G need to try and take a pause, maybe recalibrate.
This, well, it's going to be one of the last opportunities, Tom, so a good time for it. 11 on the board for Heretics. Early aggression working out. They try to trade it back. Meteor does a good job at least finding the one, but this man here is just unhinged. And keep in mind, I don't think he had any iota where that player was. He's just mad. But sometimes you thrive in the madness, and Heretics most certainly are. One of the other things, Tom, is when these rounds end, I'm looking down at the stage, I'm looking at the player cams we're getting, and there's a lot of heads in hands for the side of Gen.G. They are starting to feel these losses round by round, the chances to go straight to playoffs, to take that higher seed, just slipping through their fingers. It was 13-11 on a map that they previously demolished Heretics on, and now 11-7. If they lose this one, it may well, depends how much they invest, to be honest. There's even that question to ask. But losing this one, 5 in a row needed, it's almost over before it begins.
Well, that's the thing. We talked about this group, talked about it being a tough route, and in the first match, Gen.G made things look incredibly easy. We were almost sat there going, okay, this is just a different beast. No one in this group is going to be able to handle them, and it's who's going to be fighting for second. That was a 13-8, 13-7 when they faced versus Sentinels, and just unmatched performance out of Texture and Karan. Right now, Texture's having a rough one. He's gone missing for the majority of this game, at least this map in particular. But he's got his showstopper. And as said, when on the attack, sure, he has to go diving in. We've already seen it a few rounds ago, the double entry he was able to get. It seems like they're going to go for that again. And look at where the majority of the defense are. It almost seems like they're playing a retake.
Well, I'm not sure they'll have much of a choice. Traps cover in the back. No need to look backwards. Instead, they focus right in front. Texture already in, but he's been let past by Boo. Only finds the one as a result. Luckily, they were still clearing those angles. The deep showstopper not landing. The Viper's Pit is covering off all of this control. There will be a small gap where the spike is planted.
Right there. There's Seekers online. A kill for Benji. Would also get a counter pit. It seems like they're going to try and force them into awkward battles. Texture has done so much. Wu is tagged for just 3 HP. The players out of Hookah are desperately trying to just fish out where that Viper is going to be hiding from. And the flashes have done well. Benji gets one. Texture now dropped as well. This is starting to fall apart a little bit, but they still haven't dealt with the pit. Still looking for where that last man standing. Karan holding his ground as he'll come out with a third. But that spike is already being diffused. They have to get towards it. And guess what? Another 4K will be there for Gen.G. An 8th round on the board.
They really love their 4Ks, don't they? What a round from Karan. And I'm so happy to see him have this kind of performance because we hailed him for the impact of some of his rounds. Even over on Abyss, I felt like he got so many 2Ks that didn't light up the sky or anything, but they were essential. And you can see if he got one less, round's not going his way. This time, though, here on Bind, he's really hit his stride. Now sitting 23-11, the kill leader by a long shot.
Yeah, I think most people look at this as, well, unless someone, I guess like Wu, has an MVP level performance and takes the trophy, that the Rookie of the Year is already decided, and it's hard to argue with. Karan has been fantastic throughout the entirety of the year, a trophy under his belt, and Gen.G, one of the favorites, or the favorite, to lift that Champions trophy alongside it. Make this the most successful year of any team in VCT history, and one that's almost impossible to beat if they were to do it. But as being proved here, there is plenty of resistance. Heretics still have a purchase. Ultimates definitely leaning the way of Gen.G here. Karan with that multi-frag has got himself one away from an orbital strike. It's whether or not he'll find a kill and get to use it.
Obscuring vision.
Well, again, that stack up on the A site has gone amiss. Team Heretics gambling the wrong way. Gen.G will have a relatively easy time if they can deal with Boo. The only man standing in their way, stopping that plant on this side. He's seen 4 players already. He's naded up. There's no way out. He has to fight forward, and Meteor meets him halfway. Comes crashing into the site and finds a plant at the last second for Gen.G. 11-8, looking to put 9 on the board with the man advantage under their belt.
They put him in an impossible position. that execution really couldn't have done anything more. And actually, it seems like Heretics are just going to sacrifice this one. Don't really want to try and fight back into a full stack up on the retake. And so they're just going to opt to hold on to their weapons. It's a bold call, I'd say that. Like, to just basically give another round over, send the economy sky high for Gen.G, but you kind of understand it. Like, that execution, I honestly couldn't have been any better. Have the pop flash initially, nade to the back of sight, you had a Molotov that he'd have to run into, and then just forcing him into a fight versus the team. There was nothing Boo could do, and once that ground is completely given up, and they gambled on an A-site stack, you almost have to save, even if in a 4v5 it's tough to do.
Yeah, look, I think there's no doubt that they made the right call there. But now the call for the timeout comes in. Heretics haven't used one so far, but 11-9 up. The gap has closed massively, and the gamble stacks on the A side didn't work out. You can't help but think that maybe what they're missing here is having someone like Miniboo, even if they want to play light on B, having that Yoru start there, get a little aggressive for the information, because if anybody swings out, you're going to notice that there's 4 players, sometimes 5 players on B long, creeping their way up. And it's just that gap in information that's usually covered by something like a Cypher camera. But obviously in this case, that's not quite an option.
Well, I think for me, it would maybe make a little bit more sense to have one of the initiators there. Yep. Because right now, what it's coming down to is, okay, there's 35, 40 seconds. We've not seen anything from Gen.G, so I'm going to put up the smoke. And it's like, okay, well, they can play through that. They can go above or through that utility. Whereas if you're throwing out that Dizzy every once in a while, it's going to give you the information eventually. And I think that's what they're lacking for a composition that, as you said, has a Yoru that can go aggressive and find info, has 2 initiators that have flashes that give you info. To have 2 rounds in a row where a team is able to hit into a site that you are unaware of until they are in your face, that shouldn't be happening. And I think that's why we've seen a pause for the side of Heretics to go, okay, that gamble hasn't paid off. It wasn't worth the risk. We're playing without information and gambling on them giving us something.
And it's even on the A side, the way they're approaching it. It is a trap play. It's why I sort of say about the Yoru, because the initiators are meant to be on the A side, popping their flashes out, flooding them with blinds, and then the swing comes through. But that means you're not having those super deep flashes clearing out space. Now, well, off rip, there's 1 player outside of A. They know that for sure. The gamble stack on B is not going to work out because short has been taken for free. Gen.G have got backside A control. They've got site control. They've got everything. And Meteor, I saw expect him to get a kill or 2 there, and he got both. Of course he did, even blinded up.
It's a save. It's already a save. I can't imagine that the players on the other side are going to be going for this. It's going to be so difficult to find a way back in. I guess they've got some extra credits to play with. That's why they're going to try and run into what is Texture. And while he wanted to try and get all 3, instead he gets the 1, but does a lot of damage. The remaining players have no choice but to try and leave this position. But again, it's meteoric heroics that end up closing out this round. There was... again, you look at what was being done by Heretics, I don't mind it. They needed to clear that backline. They needed to find that guy. The flash was perfect, just like the shots from Boo. And of course, with the saves that we've seen from the side of Heretics, there's so much economy for the attack. They want to try and get rid of the guns as well. Munchin has done well. Is Boo really going to survive on 2 HP? It looks like he will.
What a round. What a round from Meteor. I was going to say, I somehow expect him to get a kill or 2. Fully blinded, double spray to the head. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I think they both checked left as well.
Yeah, they were both clearing the wrong way. You probably even just assume, you know, he's jumped out of the smoke once he got blinded. He's running away. Let's go hunt him down. But nope. Nope. It's Meteor to take the kill. Now competing with Karen for that kill lead. Orbital strike online for the attacking side. 1 round in it. And what a difference 1 round could make. Heretics, they've been struggling to put anything on the board, and here there's a lot of weaknesses.
Oh yeah, it seems like Heretics are trying to break records of how many rounds they're going to play this tournament. If they go on a run, I think they might. Miniboo waiting, but it's only going to be the 1. And they know that, or they should know that Woot is around this angle. The Tiger just being used at the inopportune moment. Lackey is waiting. The flash. He's not going to find anything. And that's the thing. Again, the ultimates seem to just lean slightly in favor of Gen.G if they can get themselves into the post plant. I like this duo, though. Like having Rians alongside Gen.G, they've been so good at getting info, finding the delays. Have they just dodged that off their own orb? That's what it looked like, but it doesn't matter. Gen.G gets the kill anyway.
It's a nice frag. And we've seen the B site here under pressure with just one man holding it. They were overwhelmed. This time, no. There's a lot of gaps in the side of Gen.G, and even more so now with Munchkin down. No way through, you'd imagine. The Meteor manages to find himself one. The site taken over by Gen.G, stood underneath. 3 kills already to his name, and there's backup on the way.
Okay.
It's Gen.G's 4th game, a series of 4Ks. With 12-10 on the board at long last, Team Heretics have map and series point, playoffs point.
Well, that's the main thing. It's a little bit of a break, but more so, it gives you a good opportunity to dodge some pretty fearsome teams. Think about those #1 seeds, the potential of someone like Leviathan. You're not going to want to face off against. I guess in some of the other groups, maybe the one that like things coming up a little bit later on. I think DRX or Fnatic. It's a pick your poison sort of moment, but there's definitely real opportunities to dodge some heavy hitters, but more so not have to play in that decider match.
Which, for a team that all year we've been talking about burnout being a big factor, for Heretics, it's so important to get that win on the board. Now look at this. We've seen the judge in this position before do damage, and Riens, well, he's not slowing down on those stats. A double kill. Players dropped, and indeed, Thrash kept for later on.
Oh, Meteor's taking a risk. Has to get this kill, otherwise it might just be GG. A 2 versus 5 needed to stop Heretics. And it's Riens who's in position. He wants a little bit of revenge. Gets one blind, and Munchkin is not long for this world. 18 HP, that's not the gun he's looking for. But even still, this looks like a bridge too far, an impossibility. And for Heretics, a team that struggled towards the end of EMEA, played versus FPX and were almost defeated, maybe even should have been. They're coming up against the inarguable best team in the world right now.
30 seconds left.
And unless in 30 seconds 4 kills are going to Munchkin, they've taken them down.
It looks to be just a formality at this point. An impressive comeback in the series, in the map, and Gen.G Fishy to close it. 13-10, 2-1. Everyone expected Gen.G to be the ones taking this across the line.